Outside the laboratory, a voice was heard. From today, your name will be number 0. The organization Bud is your home. Your country is where you voluntarily dedicate everything. You must be absolutely loyal to the organization. Everything you do is based on the interests of the organization. You are not allowed to hide anything. The meaning of your existence is to obey the orders of the organization. A young man with platinum hair was tied to a chair. He had to be ready to sacrifice himself for the organization at any time. Even if they used him as a human shield, he could only obey. The person who said this was the doctor standing in front of him, along with a girl who was Hila's XA. She asked him, "Now answer my question. Who are you?" Hearing that, he thought to himself, "Who am I? I am Leo. Before crossing over, I was a game renter. Yes, I was the renter that everyone hated and despised. I did this job to earn some money and to relax and enjoy myself. Teasing the arrogant young master was my specialty." As he was walking, a voice suddenly rang out. "Whoa, is it really you? Great God, please stop." Hearing someone call him, Leo didn't know who it was and why they called him back. He came over to greet him and then introduced himself. I'm a reporter from Boss Electric. Can I bother you for a bit and do a simple interview?" Hearing that, Leo happily agreed right away. This made the reporter from Boss Electric incredulous and thought, "He agreed? I didn't expect it to be so simple. He's such a mysterious great god. There's no news related to him before. I thought he liked to hide himself." While he was in a daze, he was pulled back to reality by Leo. He waved his hand in front of the reporter's face and said, Hey, what do you want to ask? Hurry up, I'm very busy." Seeing that, he quickly asked Leo, "The ranking of achievements announced this time ranks you at 47. As everyone knows, the top 100 are all professional players with outstanding achievements. So I ask you, do you have plans to become a professional player?" But he still shook his head and said no. Hearing that, the reporter from Boss Electric was puzzled and asked him, "Can you please explain the reason?" But he just turned his face to the other side as if avoiding answering that question and only said, This is a secret. Let me turn something else first and then tell you my decision. How about this angle?" Leo went to the place of the cameraman, making the reporter from Boss Electric confused and didn't know what he wanted to do. Then, as if he had prepared everything, he sighed and then raised his hand with bright eyes and greeted everyone. Everyone who was depressed by losing continuously in the arena and sad by being ganked constantly. The professional renter of Star C Group, Koi Tenhai, accepts all requests for gold farming, leveling up, revenge, professional service, preferential price, can negotiate, great god with more than 10 years of reputation. When he was about to say the contact method, the reporter from Boss Electric interrupted him and cut it off. Renter is a banned profession. This part can't be filmed. Seeing that, he was bored and picked his nose and said like that. And the reporter understood why there was no news about this person. Outside the real world, Leo took off his game glasses and said boredly, "What's wrong with renting? It's more professional than professional players. This year I've rented more than a dozen accounts and still can climb up the player board." The game he rented was Star C, a game with hundreds of millions of people online at the same time. In the cosmic space universe, the map and scenery are entered by the latest optical computing parameters and automatically rendered into real images that are unbelievable. They are the first group of players who have been playing for more than 10 years now. Every mission, every map, even the position of each stone are familiar to them. For me, Star C is more real than the real world. At this time, he texted his customer and informed them, "The mission is completed. Check it and transfer the money." He replied, "I see it. Thank you, great God." Next he logged into another account boredly. The next renter order was a new account. This was easy. Ding! He received 1,000 yen from the customer and then put on his glasses and started working. Before that moment, I still thought that life would continue to be dull like that. The new character started as usual in the main city. Then a light appeared from the sky and fell down, showing that someone had just logged in. The experimental subject number 24 had been injected with the Van Kiwi solution. The reaction time was 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Confirm that the subject is still alive. Some beams of light entered the body of the character. Leo suddenly opened his eyes and woke up. He heard an alarm bell. He spread his hand and felt a stinky smell. He had a headache. Where is this? At this time, he saw a person running away in panic and shouting loudly. Run away and report to Sister Hila. The experimental subject has revived. Experimental subject? Is he talking about me? Call the guard immediately to control the subject. In a moment, he saw some guards running towards him. Guards? Isn't it supposed to start as usual? Although he didn't know what was going on, it was right to run away now. As he was running away, he met a guard who was holding his sword up and trying to chop him. Seeing that, he quickly crossed his hands to block the sword. At this time, he felt that something was wrong. This pain feeling is 100% of the game limit, not 40%, right? This situation should be forced to disconnect, right? Suddenly, there was another guard behind Leo who was about to hit him. He couldn't react in time. The experimental subject has been controlled and locked up. He is at risk of being eliminated. Then he was locked up in a room, suffering from the pain of being beaten earlier. He wondered what the hell was going on. It was really a nightmare. The game machine cost 300 yen to fix and then broke again. How can it say warranty for half a year? It's not reliable at all. Anyway, it's a new account. Just delete it and start over. But suddenly he saw something that made Leo's face even worse. He sweated nervously. There was only an attribute panel here, no logout option. He pointed and clicked, then a panel showed up with details about his body attributes. He was an ordinary person, level 1, no attribute points, no F mortal, life points 23/30, broken bones, physical strength 36/36. His specialty was speed increase by 10%, learning and crafting durability, low-level mental spirit, decisive willpower, no skills, no potential points, human race carbon gold model NPC version 1.0 total level 1. NPC countdown time to start beta version 1.0 358 days 1. Leo gazed into the mirror, his expression vacant and bewildered. Suddenly, he raised his hand and gingerly touched his own face, and with a gasp, he realized that the character's visage in the mirror was an exact replica of his own. Could it be that he had somehow crossed over into the virtual world of the game Star C? Just as this bewildering thought raced through his mind, the door in front of him swung open, and a group of people strode in. Among them, a curvaceous woman with an imposing presence leaned against her hip, surveying Leo on the floor. She turned to her subordinates and inquired, "Is he the surviving experimental subject?" With an air of authority, she introduced herself, saying, "I am Hila, the proprietor of this establishment," before issuing a chilling warning, "If you attempt to escape again, I will not hesitate to end you." Leo, upon seeing her enter, couldn't help but recall that Hila was a formidable boss in the Sea Blue Star arena, known for her menacing demeanor. She had earned the moniker Big Sister for her intimidating presence. Addressing her subordinates, she ordered, "Take him for a blood test immediately. I want the results as soon as possible." One of her subordinates promptly replied, "Yes, ma'am." As Leo was led away by Hila's subordinates, he couldn't shake the sinking feeling that he had entered a dire situation. Hila, he recalled, was associated with the terrorist organization known as BUD in the game's preliminary version. This organization had a reputation for stopping at nothing to overthrow governments. According to the script, it seemed that his current existence was documented as part of an experiment and was likely to result in dissection, brainwashing, or ultimately being thrust into the battlefield as a disposable pawn. He knew his own future and felt bitter in his heart. What kind of transmigration was this? The beginning was too tragic. The doctor reported the results to Hila. The blood test showed no abnormalities. He lifted his chin up and said, "Look at his appearance. He seems to have escaped the violent period." The doctor told Hila that the effect of the solution was mainly to stimulate the brain. "Do we need to crack his skull open and check the activity of his brain?" He guessed it right, but Hila rejected it. She explained to the doctor, "He is the first experimental subject to survive temporarily. Don't use destructive methods." The doctor looked at him regretfully and replied, "Fine, let's observe first then." Hila said, "For safety, take him to erase his memory first." He was dragged away by the guards. He felt that something was wrong. It was a memory erasure. He would be completely finished. He thought that he was only level 1 now and not even considered a chicken. The guards here were all level 5 to level 8. He looked at Hila's direction. Not to mention that she was at a boss level. He had no chance of winning. He was desperate to escape, but he shouldn't think about it anymore. The important thing was how to deal with memory erasure. He quickly thought of a way. He suddenly woke up and realized that he saw his hope of survival on the bookshelf. It was the research materials of the researchers. He reached out to get the book down. When his hand touched the book, he didn't have time to be happy when the guards pointed a gun at his head. "What are you doing? Don't move." He just needed to twitch a little and he would probably ascend on the spot by their guns. The doctor told the guards, "Wait a minute, let's see what he wants to do." He breathed a sigh of relief. He bet right. As long as he didn't show any aggressive tendencies, the first successful experimental subject was his amulet. The guards didn't point their guns at his head anymore and let him read the book. When he opened the book, the title appeared, Basic Mechanical Concepts by Tom. Not only that, a scream like a machine appeared and informed him that he had started basic mechanical theory learning. He guessed it right again. Although he was an NPC, he brought along the attribute panel of a transmigrated character. He could level up like a player. He advised himself to calm down. No matter what he did, they would only think that it was the learning behavior of an experimental subject. He pretended to be calm and read the book on the outside. The doctor saw this and wondered, reading a book? Did the solution enhance his learning ability? Hila was also surprised by the harvest. If he is a special agent who strengthens his brain, he is more valuable than a bullet shield. Is the memory erasure device ready? The guard replied, "It has been debugged and ready, Miss Hila." She said, "That's enough. Follow me." A guard saw that he was still reading and didn't want to go, so he snatched his book away. He tried to pull it back and said, "Wait a little longer, I'm almost done." Another guard shouted, "You like reading books? How about that, you stupid experimental subject?" Because they both pulled the book back and forth, it tore a bit. At this time, the attribute panel informed him, "You have learned basic mechanical knowledge and unlocked mechanical skills learning. You have obtained a novice mechanic profession level 1 reward, plus 10 energy, plus 1 intelligence, plus 1 endurance, plus 2 free attributes, plus 1 potential point, plus 2 skill points." Seeing this, he thought that it was enough. He smiled smugly and snorted. Now a screen showed his brain. The doctor said that he could start brainwashing Miss Hila. He had prepared, but he was still scared as he sat on the chair for brainwashing. The doctor smiled cruelly. It would be a pity if such a good specimen was ruined. "Can't you let me dissect him first?" Hila asked impatiently. "Don't waste your words. Loyalty is the first priority. Hurry up and start." The doctor agreed. He will be mine anyway. He turned on the switch and wished him good luck. When the machine was turned on, his body twitched. He closed his eyes and tried to endure. The system warned him that he was in danger of being brainwashed. It assessed his intelligence, mental endurance, and willpower. His willpower was not enough to avoid brainwashing. He thought that he needed 10 points of willpower to avoid brainwashing. He had just leveled up and had a chance to use his free points. He added them to his intelligence. He urged the system to assess him again. His intelligence, mental endurance, and willpower were enough to avoid brainwashing this time. He breathed heavily and shivered. That was too dangerous. Luckily, I escaped. Next, he just needed to cooperate with them. They both looked at him expectantly. He knew it was time to test his acting skills. Hila approached him. He was very nervous, but he didn't show it much on the outside. She told him, "From now on, your name is Zero. Bud is your organization. Your country is where you voluntarily dedicate everything. You are absolutely loyal to the organization." He felt disgusted. This was not a game, but reality. He secretly admired Hila's beauty from this distance. He had killed her many times before in the game mode. Hila continued, "The meaning of your existence is to obey the orders of the organization. Be prepared to sacrifice yourself for the organization at any time." He stopped his thoughts. Wait, what am I thinking? I'm standing on the edge of life and death. I can't afford to be distracted. He held back and didn't reveal any weakness. Hila finished educating him and asked him again, "Who are you?" He kept his eyes closed and didn't answer. The doctor wondered if it was a failure. He had followed the normal procedure. Suddenly, he spoke up, I am Zero." He looked dazed. The doctor told Hila about how the Valkyrie solution had enhanced Zero's learning ability and how the side effect might be weak emotional communication, which made her think that the experiment was not perfect. But the doctor disagreed with that because a human shield didn't need emotions. Leo eavesdropped on their conversation and felt amused that they dared to use him as a human shield. Hila ordered a soldier to take Leo to rest. But he reported that the resting room for the experimental subject was not ready yet. Hila didn't hesitate and ordered him to take Leo to her room because the leader had entrusted her with him. Leo heard that and his face became expressionless. He didn't understand what Hila meant, but he quickly composed himself and didn't think too much. Leo was led by the soldier to Hila's room, a small room where he felt a bit embarrassed to stay with a beautiful woman. He heard Hila talking on the phone with her leader to report that Zero had stabilized. She wondered what his purpose was with Zero and he explained it to her. The Valkyrie experiment was to train soldiers and instructors. Hila started to ask for permission to see her sister. Leo suddenly remembered that Hila had a sister. But Hila's leader refused to let her see her sister. He said that she had already met her sister once every 2 months as part of the deal. He did not like that she crossed the line and made Hila sad. Hila's hand was shaking as she held the phone. Leo did not know what to do. Hila was so angry that she punched the wall hard. Leo's heart almost jumped out of his chest. He was still a bit scared of Hila, who was like a big boss. She started to walk towards the table, which confused him. Hila began to take off all her clothes and became naked in front of Leo. He was stunned. Hila glanced at him and he quickly looked away. Hila moved closer to him and he felt uncomfortable. She pressed her face against his and bit his shirt. Leo felt hard to control himself, but he had to resist. He did not want to be exposed. He tried to calm himself down. He did not want to be discovered that he had not been brainwashed. Hila suddenly let go and walked away. Leo sighed in relief. He thought he was doomed. Hila had changed her clothes and was sleeping soundly. Leo walked in and was surprised that there was only one bed. He thought it was a prank by some lonely guys who wanted to try having a girlfriend. He had no choice but to squeeze into the small bed with Hila. As soon as he lay down, Hila kicked him off the bed and he fell to the floor. The next day, Hila took Leo to the training room to practice shooting and wrestling skills every day. She threw him a suit of armor and asked him to put it on. Leo had just finished dressing when Hila quickly ran over and kicked him hard in the stomach, making him vomit blood. She didn't stop there, she pulled his arm and kneed him in the stomach, leaving him no chance to fight back. He was beaten so badly that he collapsed on the ground. But Hila didn't let him go and told him to get up. If he got up, he would surely be beaten up by Hila again. She punched him in the face with her knuckle, kicked him in the stomach, and used her super kick to hit his jaw. Leo was beaten until he saw stars. He lay on the ground while Hila left. The system board announced that Hila had taught Leo the basics of wrestling and he had progressed by 5%. Leo opened his eyes and looked at the distant ceiling. He felt happy because although his attribute board was an NPC version, he could level up and learn skills like a player. He realized that he was a player with an NPC board and decided to do the things he had done before to become a strong person in this world. A strange and deep voice said, "Get up. You can't stand it just like that?" It was a young uncle who introduced himself as Leo's shooting instructor and also the deputy manager of the base named Bierota. He suddenly gave Leo a revolver and said that there were 10 training bullets inside. He then gave Leo a task: stick them to the heads of those targets in front of you. At the same time, the targets also appeared. They were moving targets. Leo thought, he doesn't think it's too hard for a newbie like me. Only an Olympic champion can do this. He didn't hesitate and held the gun with both hands and pulled the trigger, but none of the 3 shots hit anything. Leo seemed surprised and disappointed, thinking that his attributes were not enough and it was too hard to hit anything. Suddenly, while he was paying attention to the screen, someone stabbed him in the left arm with a knife from behind. It was none other than Bierota. Of course it hurt, but Leo couldn't understand why he stabbed him. Even more terrifying was when he licked Leo's blood on the knife. Bierota said that if he didn't meet his requirements, he would stab him again and see how much blood he would lose today. With Bierota's stubbornness and madness, Leo's hands suddenly clenched but then quickly let go. Maybe he wanted to fight back but realized that he couldn't beat him if he resisted. He was an NPC now and couldn't revive. He only had 1 life. For the sake of his future, he could only endure. So Leo picked up the gun again. And Bierota stood outside and kept threatening him. "You missed again. My knife is ready." And in Leo's heart, he tried to ignore him and comforted himself that just laugh now, you will cry later. At that time, in a distant place, Leo was again the main character in a conversation between Hila and the doctor. The doctor looked at Bierota mercilessly punishing Leo and sighed to Hila that Bierota didn't appreciate anything. He said, "Just let me dissect him for research." As soon as he said that, Hila replied quickly, "The organization won't agree to your request." Hearing that, he turned to look at her with a grim face and said, "Wait until the organization squeezes all his value out of him and then they will give him to my experiment table anyway. I created him. He is my own thing. The training time is over." Leo returns to his room with a tired body. As soon as he enters, he sees Hila sitting on the chair waiting for him. She only wears a towel and asks him, "Are you back? You didn't perform well today." With this accusatory tone, he suspects that she will stab him with a knife, so he stays silent for a while. Suddenly, Hila stands up and tells him to follow her over there. At that moment, he had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. He was also very upset by this woman's indecent attire. It turned out that Hila wanted to lead Leo to the bathtub and asked him to undress. Looking and listening, Leo felt a pang of embarrassment. Bathe together? She's rushing things. Hila, with an angry tone, exclaimed, "What's taking so long? Can't you follow a simple command?" She aggressively approached and began to undress him. "This is dangerous." "I'm still innocent," he thought. Within minutes, he was completely exposed. He wasn't sure about Hila's intentions, but she kept touching his body, making him very uncomfortable. Suddenly, she sighed and said, "You're such a coward." Leo was puzzled by her comment and expression. To his surprise, Hila then took his hand and pulled him into the tub, saying, "If you want to survive, work hard. Otherwise, the organization may decide you're worthless and hand you over to Llama for research." Leo thought it wasn't that simple, while at the same time, Hila forcefully pushed him into the water. Apparently, this was a medicinal bath. Soaking for an hour would likely heal his wounds by the next day. He initially thought they would bathe together, but she simply told him to fend for himself and left. Alone, Leo pondered his situation. He knew his protective charm wouldn't last long. Bud would definitely create new experiments, and his time was limited. The scientist spoke with Hila, saying he would request permission from the organization to dissect Leo again. He believed there would be no issues this time, but Hila disagreed. She reminded him of the organization's recent refusal and suggested waiting. The scientist, considering Leo worthless, questioned Hila's attachment to his experiment, even implying she might have feelings for it. Hila calmly replied that such a thing was impossible. The scientist told her to mind her own business and left. In Leo's room, Hila warned him not to tamper with the broken gun. "It's useless, throw it away," she advised. But Leo held onto it as if it were precious. Seeing this, Hila told him not to be attached to useless things. She warned him that if he didn't make progress, his fate would be similar to the useless gun. Leo then revealed he had fixed the gun. He also wished he could work with more machinery, thinking it could provide valuable experience. Hearing this, Hila became intrigued and took him to a testing field to verify his claim. Looking at the birds fluttering in the clear sky, one can't help but wonder about the end of their lives. Just a few gunshots and those birds were sent to meet their ancestors. After witnessing what Leo said, she reported to the leader to grant him access to the weapon storage. She noticed that he enjoyed tinkering with machinery. Maybe he could be useful in this aspect. This is also something Leo wanted to excel in. He has experience in assembling and repairing machines. What he lacks is more experience. Thus, accessing the weapon storage and handling more weapons means gaining more experience. As the sky darkened with the rustling wind, Hila took him to a place which turned out to be the weapons storage she had mentioned. Leo was initially amazed at the military capabilities of the Bud organization. Upon entering, Leo thought he hit the jackpot. With so many weapons at his disposal, it's an experience boost. He felt extremely lucky. Hila, seeing his excitement, remembered his past interest in mechanical books. She had prepared some for him inside. "Check them out if you want. I have to leave now." When Hila was changing her clothes, she seemed very annoyed. The reason for her irritation was young Leo. She didn't ask him to follow her, but he trailed behind. Leo tried to look innocent and clueless. It was only then that Hila addressed the obvious issue between them. Anyway, she had prepared a room for him inside the weapon storage. "You can stay there," she said, hinting that living together might be awkward given their gender differences. Young Leo wondered why she only realized this issue now. After telling him, she immediately dismissed him and told him to return to the weapon storage. Leo felt quite disheartened. His short-lived adventure with the beautiful woman had ended just 2 days after it began. Before he could even drown in his sorrow, she told him to meet her at the training grounds every morning. Before he left, Hila gave him a gun. Since he had repaired it, she felt it belonged to him. As Leo walked away, Hila shouted words of encouragement, "Keep going." Upon hearing her, Leo hesitated for a moment. Before entering the weapons storage, Hila added 2 more words: stay alive. Leo sat thoughtfully inside the storage, assembling weapons. After completing one, he earned 38 experience points. A notification asked if he wanted to use 200 experience points to join the mechanic novice. Without hesitation, Leo agreed. He gathered points for this very purpose. Within 2 days, he had leveled up 3 times. At this rate, he thought, he might be able to leave in just 6 months. In an arena, Leo fell to the ground in pain. Hila frowned and asked, "You are about to win. Is this all the strength you have?" Clutching his chest, he stood up and thought, "How would you know how much strength I have?" Hila approached to shake hands, wanting to help the boy stand up. Recently, Lama has requested permission from his superiors for surgical research several times, but the organization has yet to agree. A deeply thoughtful lady told him, based on his current situation, that better days seemed far away. Hearing this, he thought it was just as he had predicted. In his private room, he sat on a chair, engrossed in his research. He was repairing some machinery. He glanced in one direction and saw a disassembled camera. His efforts had not been in vain, which was great. The camera on the other side had been dealt with. It seems that Bud no longer considered him a waste and no longer surveilled him 24/7. He picked up an object and bent over, placing a gun on a box under the table. He frowned, realizing that he hadn't gained much experience from simple assembly and disassembly tasks lately. He considered enhancing his equipment, as recent trials seemed promising. Although the organization viewed him as worthless, he never let down his guard. After improvements, he felt he had to revert to his original state so they wouldn't discover his weapon-enhancing ability. He felt so annoyed. Suddenly, there was the sound of a door opening. He quickly hid the items on the table as he cautiously looked towards the door. A leader walked in. The visitor was a young man, who arrogantly stated that the organization was very disappointed in him and from now on, they would reduce his resources by 80%. He glanced at the man and noticed the number 001 on his uniform, deducing he was the first test subject, the second survivor after himself. The man approached and placed a hand on his shoulder, mentioning that he was a test subject before him and that the organization had invested a lot in him. The man looked down at the objects on the table and scornfully said they were just junk. Number 1 grabbed him by the collar, labeling him as worthless. The man confidently said replacing him was the right decision. He thought this newcomer was a completely brainwashed test subject, seeing the organization as his only belief, avoiding any conflict. The man ordered others to remove his belongings from the room. The newcomer's physique seemed impressive, suggesting he was a result of the Valkyrie experiment, someone with innate combat ability and a strong body, easily trained as an armed soldier. Guardians laughed contemptuously as they passed his room, referring to the test subjects as pitiful insects. Brainwashed test subjects always had a foolish smile on their faces, as if they were dim-witted. Seeing them, they continued to gossip about being used as experimental cannon fodder and becoming brainwashed, saying that being like them was worse than death. Another guard heard this and told them to stop talking. The first guard retorted, questioning why it mattered since they were brainwashed anyway. Hearing this, he felt irritated. All these people looked down on them as if they were just pets. Number 01 patted his head mockingly, calling him a failed product. For Bud, test subjects were merely cannon fodder. Holding a bomb in his hand, he was curious to see the look on their faces when they became the real targets, stripped of all their armor. He grinned, wondering what expressions they'd have. Meanwhile, in the information room, Lama, Hila, and Betrayal were there, discussing number 0 with the leader. The system conveyed the leader's voice, granting Lama permission to dissect number 0 for research. Hearing this, he was overjoyed and thanked his leader for allowing him to fulfill his long-standing wish. Upon hearing this, Betrayal caressed his beloved knife and laughed heartily. He regretted not having finished playing with his toy. Hila, at that moment, tightly clenched her fists, clearly showing her disappointment and sadness at the news. At the training center, Leo was practicing wrestling with Hila. Leo could tell that something was off with Hila today. Hila abruptly punched him in the stomach, catching him off guard, making him feel like she was acting crazily today. She constantly shouted for him to defend and counter, making him struggle to keep up with the pace of the match. Hila's punch caused Leo to spit blood, and her powerful moves surprised him. A kick from her made him cough up more blood, leaving Leo wondering what he had done to upset Hila. He tried to sit up, but he continued to bleed from his mouth. Hila shouted at him to counter and come at her. Hila's aggressive behavior today was confusing to Leo because she would usually let him rest. Today was different. Despite his trembling limbs, Leo tried to attack. He threw a punch, but Hila dodged it effortlessly. She grabbed his hand, noting how weak his grip felt. Hila then threw him aside and asked if this was his great realization of wanting to continue living. Leo rolled on the ground, and Hila approached, grabbing his shirt. She was about to punch him again. At that moment, Leo just braced for the impact, fearing another blow could be fatal. However, after a moment of contemplation, Hila released him, clearly disappointed in Leo. While Leo was sprawled out, Hila sighed, signaling the end of the training session. She wished him a good night, hinting he shouldn't bother coming back tomorrow. Dazed, Leo couldn't grasp her words. Hila's expression was visibly sorrowful as she announced that Leo would undergo surgery tomorrow before leaving. Hila reached the door, disappointed, feeling like she hadn't changed anything. Leo lay there, looking at the distant sky, realizing that today's events were the reason for Hila's anger and her beating him so brutally. He struggled to his feet, recognizing that Hila, despite her peculiar nature, was the only person who had treated him as a human over the past 6 months, unlike others who saw him as expendable. He knelt on the ground, recalling the fresh blood that splattered when he was tortured. Wiping the blood from his mouth, he definitely thought about how they believed it would be easy to kill him. Leo entered the weapons area, reflecting on everything he had endured and learned in the past 6 months. He pondered that half a year in this reality equated to a month in the real world. Before, these conditions were favorable, and only advanced realms could create such enriching experiences within limited conditions. He accessed his system menu and realized that while everyone has a profession limit, every 20 levels mark a major milestone requiring the completion of certain tasks for further progression. Everyone had a maximum level, and in version 1.0, that level was 60. However, he noticed that his own stats didn't display a maximum level, hinting that he could potentially be stronger than other players. He proceeded to view schematics for the construction and invention of machinery. Inventing schematics was vital. There were 60 types of knowledge that could be combined in numerous ways. Each combination required many schematics, but each fusion would only result in one product. The experience from similar fusions would accumulate, and even if a new schematic wasn't discovered, the experience wouldn't be refunded, hence it was like betting on the schematics. Leo decided to proceed with the fusion. The system successfully researched the Van Yen wings, but Leo wasn't interested in them. The second research yielded a bionic arm. Leo felt frustrated, thinking that all the useless schematics were now used up. At that moment, Leo was very anxious because he was about to run out of experience, so he hurriedly pressed the fusion button. He pressed it, and the fusion was successful, making him eagerly await the next research. Leo finally found research suitable for himself and began to integrate it. Robotic arms began to surround Leo's own arms. It turns out Leo chose research on lightweight dynamic arms. Leo, with his new gear, was determined to show the Bud Gang what it's like to mess with a tiger. Military helicopters buzzed overhead. Beneath them was a military zone surrounded by the most robust defenses. Hila, with her plum-red hair, stood amongst the soldiers. Soldiers stepped down from the helicopter, and the one in the center reported, Night 3, I am the team leader with the nickname Silver Blade, here to move the Valkyrie experimental team. Before he could finish, Hila, uninterested in his words, casually brushed past him, saying, whatever. There's a helicopter in the garage I've commandeered, don't waste my time. The military base was still occasionally monitored by helicopter patrols at night. Every 2 months, Hila has a day when she's not at the base, and like before, she left early this morning. Good, she's gone. If Hila were still at the base, even now, I wouldn't be safe. The time has finally come. All patience and preparations are for today. Today, I need to escape this imprisonment. Lama's people will perform the surgery on me. I smile, thinking today is both an end and an opportunity. As I walked into the room, I noticed a flipped photo on the floor. What's this? Picking it up, I recognized Hila's sister, Aurora. Aurora also had supernatural powers, but unlike Hila's, hers were supportive, healing, and could even bring the dead back to life. At the end of version 1.0, Bud will dissect Aurora to create numerous healing cells, even more potent than 2 life networks. This news made Hila furious, transforming her into a death goddess feared by many. Just then, the system screen displayed a mission prompt. Did Hila, with a hidden past, truly remain loyal to the Bud organization? You've obtained a clue. Continue your investigation. Perhaps she had expectations of me. This time, I'll do something for her. I then pressed accept on the screen. An announcement echoed from outside, Test Subject 0, report immediately to the central lobby for orders. The guard will escort Subject 0 to my private lab. Recognizing Lama's voice, I thought of Aurora and decided to escape before deciding further. I sneaked out of Hila's private room, hiding in a shadowy corner, peering outside. The base was filled with surveillance cameras, making any hasty move a death wish. The monitoring room is the first target. Sprinting there, inside, the surveillance personnel lay bloodied on the floor. Leo, covered in blood, stood tall among the lifeless bodies. Good, the overhead security was disabled. Next was that despicable Lama. I frowned in disgust, proceeding to the next gate. 20 minutes later, in Lama's lab, the announcement stated, Doctor, Subject 0 has arrived. As I entered, I was met with a mocking voice. The doctor, holding a scalpel, nostalgically said, At last, you're here. By dissecting you, I can research why you're different from the other test subjects. Once I uncover your value, your body will become my specimen. Fixing his surgical tools, he continued, the first experiment is always memorable. However, he received no reply. A bloody corpse lay on the floor. The doctor turned pale, then shouted, Dead. The guard is dead. This is impossible. The experiment subject, after being brainwashed, knows how to kill? Leo, sarcastically, saluted in a military style, teasingly tilted his head and greeted the scientist. What's going on? He pondered. Nothing has happened in the last 6 months. He began to say something more but was interrupted by a knife Leo suddenly drew. Swiftly, Leo stabbed the scientist in the chest. The scientist could only utter a sound before he coughed up blood. Before dying, he mischievously looked at the camera in the corner and smirked. Leo indifferently commented, Give up. The surveillance team is dead. The scientist, clutching his bleeding wound with one hand, using whatever was within reach with the other, gasped, You've been pretending all these months? Leo replied sarcastically, Where do you think your intelligence comes from? How could everyone be fooled by you? Hearing this, Leo smirked and lifted his bloody knife. Nothing is impossible in this world. Immediately, he swung the knife at the scientist. The man stared wide-eyed at his impending doom. The blade cut through his back, blood spewed from the wound, looking terrifying. Why? How? His glasses, concealing his malevolent eyes, flew off. His eyes, filled with incomprehension and sadness, declared, "I created you." In the end, the scientist couldn't escape death, watching in horror as his own creation killed him. He lay in a pool of red, his body lifeless as is customary in death. Leo now had Llama's restricted access card. This card was the key to accessing any door in this place. Only 3 people in this base had such access, and Llama was one of them. But now it was firmly in Leo's grasp. This meant he could move freely within the base. However, possessing the card doesn't mean unrestricted access. Being a successful experiment, Leo knew the dangers of walking around with the card. In just 10 seconds, he could be done for. Being a thoughtful person, he wouldn't take a rash action that leads to certain death. He had thought of a better way to infiltrate. He walked down the side road. Inside the base, Leo reminded himself of his mission again, lest he forget. In short, the plan was to disrupt the communication for a few hours. As he walked, he strategized meticulously. The signal transmitter was on the 3rd underground floor, which required a machine arm from the 2nd floor. The most memorable person in this base to him was Hila, followed by Llama. If Llama wasn't in the base, he would be dead. Walking lightly, Leo passed many people without concern. Even if they saw him, they'd pay no attention. However, his real concern was not encountering Betrayal, otherwise, he'd be in real danger. Lost in thought, Leo didn't notice someone familiar approaching from behind. A hand landed on his shoulder. "Which team are you from?" Just as the saying goes, speak of the devil and he shall appear. The person Leo least wanted to see had found him. Instead of reacting with panic, Leo responded with a confident smile, though his eyes shot daggers. He knew he had to think fast in this situation. Whether he liked it or not, Leo couldn't remain silent. That would make Betrayal more suspicious. Trying to conceal as much of his face as possible by pulling his hat down, Leo replied, "I'm new here, from Team B." Recognizing the familiar tone of Leo's voice, Betrayal grew even more suspicious. "When did you arrive?" "I haven't heard of you, but your voice, it sounds familiar." Doubts peaked to such an extent that Baroda didn't even have the patience to hear Leo's response. Hastily, he pulled out a gun, placing it near Leo, and continued to use a higher authority's order to demand, "Lift your head and let me see your face." Fundamentally, Leo would not follow any of his commands. He showed no reaction, merely standing silently before whispering something intended only for his ears. Annoying, I wanted to use Plan B. Baroda, being not too far from Leo, managed to catch some of what was said, but not all. Yet, he failed to grasp the meaning and continued to probe unprotectedly. "What are you saying?" Swiftly, Leo, with a knife in hand, turned towards Baroda with intent to stab. "I've always wanted to tell you, you miserable man, you should see a psychiatrist." Baroda was quick to react. He hurriedly stepped back, but unfortunately, Leo's knife was faster, grazing Baroda's sturdy arm. Following this, chaotic shouts from the guards echoed, continuously calling out, "Leo," or otherwise known as Zero. Hearing the familiar name, Baroda quickly looked up. It wasn't just the shouts that were chaotic, but the soldiers themselves were at a loss when faced with Leo. One among them, regaining composure, ordered all to shoot him on sight. Leo wasn't one to back down, he seized the opportunity. Before Baroda could recover, Leo took down any obstructions on his way to the machinery enhancement room. However, within a brief window of just 2 seconds, he needed to get there. As Leo swiftly moved, punching a hapless soldier in the face, he devised a perfect plan. He even calculated the time it would take for Baroda to catch up. Leo's punch was so strong that the soldier was thrown back, knocking over those around him. Without wasting a second after taking down the blocking soldiers, Leo spun on his heels and sprinted ahead. At this moment, his mind was operating at full capacity, meticulously planning every move. 3 guards in 4.2 seconds posed no threat, reinforcements would take around 25 to 35 seconds. Swift as the wind, Leo made it to the machinery enhancement room as planned. Once inside, the first thing he did was seal the iron door, preventing Baroda from entering. By now, Baroda had recovered from the minor wound on his arm and confidently approached the door, saying, "If you choose to hide in there, death is certain." He was immensely confident in his abilities, and without even planning an assault on Leo, he dared to criticize his actions. Suddenly, a noise came from the door. From the very room where Leo was hiding, the door gradually opened, revealing a blinding golden light. The noise attracted Baroda's full attention, compelling him to look. As the door opened further, the source of the blinding light began to emerge. Baroda couldn't take his eyes off the door, so he inadvertently saw that mysterious thing. As soon as he realized what it was, he was already taken aback. Before Baroda could even warn the soldiers behind him, he was struck down by that mysterious light. Upon closer inspection, in the middle of the door was the silhouette of a familiar young man. It seemed like he was the one responsible for the disturbance. Strangely familiar, that young man was none other than Leo. His entire body was encased in a massive armor so powerful that it seemed to have shattered the ground. Baroda was terrified by Leo's newfound strength. The thing that puzzled him the most was what kind of armor Leo was wearing that possessed such destructive power. With an expression filled with anger and deep resentment, Leo focused solely on Baroda and said, "You might be dead, Baroda." Without hesitation, Leo threw a punch directly into Baroda's stomach. Taken by surprise, Baroda couldn't believe his eyes as he looked down at his injured abdomen. It seemed like it was the first time he experienced such excruciating pain. Leo's fury clouded his eyes, suggesting that this time, Baroda would surely meet his end. Leo didn't stop there, he plunged his hand deep into Baroda's belly, causing a flood of red blood. Even in such pain, Baroda couldn't prevent Leo's hand from going deeper. He could only watch in horror as Leo found and pulled out his heart. Without a heart, life would certainly end. Baroda wasn't immortal, without a heart, he would surely die. After all, for a cruel man like Baroda, a painful death seemed inevitable. Perhaps it was karma for all the sins he committed in his life. Now, Baroda might meet his old comrades in hell. Baroda's blood stained part of Leo's face. With a detached expression, Leo gazed at the cold corpse that he had just killed. He stood silently, expressing his half a year of pent-up grievances caused by such vile beings. Leo approached Baroda's corpse and said, "At this moment, 420 knives really wanted to hear you speak." Gone was the face of sorrow, pain, resentment, and hatred. Now was the time for Leo to experience the joy of revenge, to feel what it was like when Baroda hurt others in the past. Unfortunately, Baroda wouldn't have that chance. Suddenly, an alarm sounded, echoing throughout the room. A security team quickly arrived at the scene. About 4 to 5 men, each armed, discovered the lifeless body of Baroda, their boss, with severe injuries. Blood was everywhere, covering a large area. Immediately, an ambulance was dispatched to move the body. One of the guards tried to contact the control room, but there was no response. This silence made everyone uneasy. He then tried calling Dr. Lama for instructions. A voice came from the other end of the line. Team C discovered the body of Dr. Lam. Upon hearing this, the guard started sweating profusely and cursed out loud. He ordered his team not to panic and to search every brick for the enemy, allowing them to fire at will. Team A went to the weapons storage, Team B inspected the surveillance room, Team C went to the lab to guard the records, and Team D guarded the main entrance. Everyone followed their assignments accordingly. Suddenly, an explosion blew open the door, throwing several guards hundreds of meters away. Dust and smoke obscured the view. Over the radio, a voice asked what that noise was. When no one replied, the guard, full of anxiety and filled with questions, wondered what had happened to his teammates. The remaining guards remained vigilant to avoid premature deaths. This guard tried the radio again, "Hello, what was that explosion? Answer quickly." But he didn't realize that next to him was the bloody hand of a teammate who had departed from this world. Another hand reached for the radio. It was Leo, who coughed and, changing his voice, reported to Teams C and D, "The target is injured and trapped in the lab, but we are also heavily injured. Hurry and provide backup." They used smoke tactics to defeat the enemy. Still, the other side detected no mistakes and even complimented Team C, saying Team B was on its way. Leo smiled, seeing that his trap was set, just waiting for the prey. He laid wires on the ground, enough to trip the approaching guards, and ran a high voltage through them. Later, as Team B entered, one of them tripped on Leo's wire. Unfortunately, that wire was connected to explosives, and with one tug, it detonated. Another explosion occurred, and Leo seized the chance to escape. Everyone was shocked to see debris flying everywhere. The team leader arrived and asked what had happened, then ordered some to guard the main door while the rest followed him to assist the others. Receiving orders, everyone stood still and compiled. But one of them stopped, suspecting something was wrong. He noticed a shadowy figure near the control, using a card to open the door. As the door slowly lifted, the guards incessantly questioned the identity of the figure and why he was opening the door. They recognized him as Zero. He took off his helmet, cheekily waved goodbye, and dashed outside, saying, "Goodbye guys, hope we don't meet again." Leo quickly swiped his card again, locking the door and trapping the guards inside. They banged on the door, frustrated that Zero had escaped, and they couldn't do anything. They expected to get reprimanded. Leo reached a rock, stood beneath a tree, spread his arms wide, and revealed the feeling he hadn't felt for a long time. He smiled blissfully, "The outside air is so fresh. If it were in Hanoi, all the dust would give you pneumonia in no time." In another scene, aboard a helicopter, Hila received a call. She was surprised and exclaimed, "How could that happen?" The caller replied that if she wanted to verify the truth, she should see it for herself. They demanded her return to the base. Angered, Hila retorted that she was searching for her sister, but all she got in return were insults. She was told she had no right to negotiate there. The call abruptly ended. Hila's expression was hidden, filled with sorrow. She signaled the pilot to return to base, lost in thoughts about Zero. Was everything a lie all along, she wondered. Night enveloped the deep green mountain ranges. A small military vehicle was in pursuit of someone. The path ahead was too narrow for the vehicle to pass through. The people inside weren't too concerned. They chose to continue on foot and mockingly said, "He's probably heading to the district," hinting at Leo. Stepping out of the vehicle was a man wearing green boots, followed by 3 others dressed similarly, exuding an air of confidence and authority. They were constantly cursing and swearing horribly. That night, they were out to capture someone. Their attitude towards each other was scornful. A man with a scar on his face, looking frustrated, took off his hat and lamented. He announced a mission: whoever captured their target within 30 minutes would get half a day off. Leo hid behind a tree, carefully observing the situation. He noticed they had brought up to 3 vehicles. He smugly thought that in such darkness, they would have to search on pure faith. Just as the thought crossed his mind, a bullet whizzed past him. Caught off guard, it pierced through his armor, and blood started to soak his shirt. It was then he realized the gravity of the situation. To his surprise, among them was a sniper who surely had infrared aiming capabilities. Close combat wasn't Leo's strength. Dodging, he planned to use his remaining attribute points to enhance his close combat skills and approach the sniper. Still, he acknowledged the training of these special forces soldiers. Another round of bullets was fired, hitting his leg but getting deflected. Seizing the moment, Leo jumped out of the sniper's line of sight. The sniper, surprised by Leo's absence, quickly pulled out his handgun and fired randomly. Leo easily dodged, grabbed the sniper's arm with immense strength, and hurled him into a tree. The impact was fatal, and the sniper collapsed dead at the base of the tree. Leo received a system reward of 1500X and 3 Type 6 grenades, all valuable assets. The remaining soldiers cursed Leo and mourned the loss of their comrade. As they charged towards him, Leo greeted them with a grenade, resulting in a massive explosion that sent them flying. Leo, visibly pleased with his performance, knew he was racking up rewards. Those who dared shoot at him would meet their end. The remaining soldiers quickly regained their composure. One yelled with a hint of arrogance, "Are you dead yet?" Using his powered arm, Leo started to gather energy for another move. One of the soldiers noticed and sensed the impending danger. He yelled for everyone to get down, but it was too late. A powerful blast from Leo decimated the enemies, earning him a triple kill. The scene was left with dead bodies everywhere. One of them, struggling to get up, was resentful. "You're just an experiment, yet you killed all my comrades." His eyes filled with rage, he drew a knife and slowly approached Leo with an air of intense malice, indicating that Leo had inadvertently made a formidable enemy. Leo, meanwhile, was panting from exhaustion and running low on ammunition and resources. He needed to end this quickly. Suddenly, Leo spotted something. The man with the knife was charging at him. The man yelled that Leo was going to die, but before the knife could strike, Leo quickly ducked and used a tree for leverage to propel himself towards the attacker. He managed to pin the man down, but the latter retaliated by kicking Leo away. Despite the pain, Leo, leaning against a tree, realized the strength of his opponent. The man, taking a moment, said, "Due to my negligence, my brothers lost their lives. Given the circumstances, I no longer wish to live a lonely life." He spoke while raising his knife. "But before that, I will send you to hell myself," he said, looking straight at the boy. After saying that, he ran quickly towards the boy. He jumped and tried to stab the boy. Luckily, the boy raised his hand in time to block the blow. The attacker's knife got stuck in the protective gear on the boy's arm, preventing him from pulling it out. "Damn it, it's stuck," he cursed. Suddenly, his face went pale, and sweat poured down his face, showing utter shock. Electric currents ran across the boy's arm, and he retaliated, punching the attacker hard in the face. After hitting the attacker, the boy's arm shattered. The attacker fainted. The boy, instead of walking away, cautiously stared at him. After seeing no movement for a while, he felt relieved and moved on. He looked at his damaged arm angrily. "It's ruined. Fortunately, I have the blueprints, and once I gather the necessary materials, I can rebuild it. I can't stay here for long, the Bud group will soon be after me. With the vast wilderness ahead, I'm uncertain of where to go. For now, I'll find a populated place and get a detailed map." At the Bud base conference room, someone shouted angrily, "Damn it! How can a failed specimen kill 30 armed guards, destroy all the experimental data, wipe out an elite night team, and make me lose Llama? He even managed to escape after causing so much chaos. Are you telling me a fairy tale?" Another person stood up. "Based on our assumptions, the Valkyrie experiment had more effects on Zero's body than we anticipated. Not only is he mechanically gifted, but he also possesses an extremely high IQ. You mean the brainwashing didn't work on him?" the leader asked. "I'm afraid so," he replied. "For 6 months, 90% of Zero's actions were likely just a ruse. He planned his escape from the start." But Hila disagreed. "I'm very familiar with Zero's combat capabilities. How could he become so powerful in such a short time?" Another suggested, "He might have awakened some unique abilities." But the manager shouted, "Enough. Stop all experiments until we understand the risks of the Valkyrie serum and brainwash all current test subjects. I don't want another Zero." One of the subordinates thought, "Such distrust, even questioning my loyalty." He then volunteered, I want to lead a team to hunt down Zero. The leader, lighting his cigarette, said, "Fine, bring Zero to me, dead or alive." As evening approached, the desolate trees swayed in the wind, with smoke visible in the distance. Leo had been wandering the forest for 7 days and nights without food or drink, feeling terribly bored. Luckily, his wound didn't get infected. Increasing his resilience was the right decision, otherwise, he would have perished in the forest. Leo wondered when he would finally exit this monkey-filled, noisy forest. "I'm not Bear Gus," he thought, "living in the wild for so long might drive me insane. I could even become a wild man. I need to find civilization soon." But luck wasn't on his side. Suddenly, a net dropped from the sky, trapping Leo. A man, hiding in the shadows, smirked at catching such a valuable prey. The trapped boy didn't have time to react before the man warned him not to move and demanded any valuables he had. Young Leo thought to himself that encountering a bandit in the forest was truly unlucky. Seeing Leo stunned for a moment, the young bandit grew bold and said, "I'm speaking to you." Before he could finish, Leo grabbed his throat, rendering him speechless. After that, Leo landed a few heavy punches, making the bandit almost scream for his parents. The result of those punches made the thief spit out blood and clutch his stomach in pain. Seeing the situation change, the thief started to plead, "Boss Leo, I was blind not to recognize you. Please forgive me, I now realize my mistake in challenging you." Noticing the bandit's genuine regret, Leo spoke in a gentler tone, "Only now you realize your mistake? Furthermore," he added, "your gun is already bent, yet you dare to rob people. If you had shot, you would have hurt yourself." Leo then asked him if he was aware of this, and the thief mumbled, "I already know I was wrong." Seeing him continuously admit his error, Leo questioned, "Exactly where did you go wrong?" Surprisingly, whether being honest or just naive, the thief replied, "I should have bought another gun." Leo was taken aback, saying, "Your audacity amazes me, you truly have a unique way with words." Seeing Leo's anger subside, the bandit hurriedly said, "Boss, if there's nothing else, I will leave now. In this world, one either wins or loses." But how could Leo be so forgiving? The bandit had tried to trap him and now wanted to escape. The bandit thought Leo was easily fooled. So, Leo pressed him for information, asking, "Are there any nearby towns or villages? I don't want to end up lost in the forest like a modern-day Tarzan." Hearing such an easy question, the bandit quickly replied, "Yes. Just 1 kilometer east, there's a den of thieves." After answering, the thief begged Leo for mercy, "I genuinely admit my mistakes, please spare me." But Leo smacked him on the head, causing the thief to cry out in pain. Before relenting, Leo warned, "I'm not as merciful as you might think." He then told the amateur bandit to leave, advising him to refrain from wrongdoing in the future. As Leo continued his journey, a young stranger named Kenlo appeared in a pickup truck. Quickly approaching, Kenlo greeted with a smile, "Friend, want to buy some supplies? Quality goods on sale, barter for profit." Without hesitation, Leo replied, "I need a map, 3 liters of water, and 5 kilograms of food. Anything like dried meat or bread." Excitedly, he searched his backpack for something to exchange. After a moment, he pulled out some bullets and asked Kenlo, "Is this trade fair?" Kenlo's eyes widened, this small amount of ammunition might not be enough. He boldly quoted a price of 150 bullets, shocking Leo. However, Kenlo argued that this was the only supply point for miles around. Suddenly, a man named Mr. Tuan, known to Kenlo, appeared and scolded him, "Kenlo, are you cheating outsiders again? It's not easy out there, stop your unethical behavior." Kenlo retorted, "I worked hard for this sale." Mr. Tuan approached Leo and, glancing at Kenlo, said, "This guy is a crook, don't trust him. Judging by your appearance, you must have been in the forest for a long time. Don't hesitate to come and rest at my house. You can also grab something to eat." What you want is not very valuable. Wait a moment, I'll give it to you. Leo promptly agreed without hesitation. However, he had many thoughts deep down. At first glance, this person didn't seem like a bad one. Traveling with him wouldn't be an issue. Even if he were a bad person, with my current abilities, I have nothing to fear. My house is just ahead, and within a few minutes, he was visiting Mr. Tuan's residence. In the living room, Mr. Tuan warmly introduced his wife to Leo. Mr. Tuan's wife, An, was beautiful. Always cheerful and hospitable, and kindly inquired, "You are our esteemed guest. Welcome to our home. Here's some food, I'm not sure if it suits your taste. I hope you enjoy it." She then placed a variety of dishes on the table: roasted chicken, bread, soup. Leo couldn't believe he was about to eat, having been starved for 3 days. Seeing the delicious spread, he couldn't help but drool. Without any reservations, he began eating voraciously. His appreciation for Mr. Tuan grew immensely. While eating, he also complimented the delicious food. As night approached, Leo chatted with Mr. Tuan. "This gun of yours is impressive. Have you served in the military before?" Mr. Tuan proudly replied, "Yes, it has served me in defending our nation for many years." Regardless, he is now just an ordinary man, not understanding the concept of national strength and power. "I no longer wish to be embroiled in war. All I want now is to live peacefully." The night grew late, and Mr. Tuan suggested, "Stay here tonight and leave tomorrow." With such a warm invitation, Leo couldn't refuse. Thus, a night passed, and it was time for Leo to continue his journey. Mr. Tuan remarked, "You're leaving so early." Leo responded, "I have a long way to go. Thank you both for everything." Suddenly, he noticed a car parked outside with someone inside. Confused, he asked, "Is that your son?" Mr. Tuan clarified, "No, he's not my nephew. His parents perished in the war, and now he lives with us. Last night, he came home late, so I let him sleep in the car for convenience." Leo sympathetically remarked, "He must have gone through a lot." Mr. Tuan agreed, mentioning how the boy often frustrates him. Bidding his benefactor farewell, Leo cheerfully departed, promising to meet again if fate allowed. Mr. Tuan, in turn, wished Leo safety on his journey ahead. Suddenly, a few minutes after Leo left, 2 cars appeared from the forest and drove to the tent of Ho Hong Tuan. Some people got out and talked to each other. Within 100 miles around, there was only this supply point. Zero was very likely to be here. They walked up to Kylo and Ho Hong Tuan, who were busy, and asked, "Have you ever seen this person?" They showed a picture of Leo. At the place where the wanderers gathered, everyone was summoned by the guards to go outside. The leader asked, "Have you ever seen Leo?" Ho Hong Tuan answered bluntly, "Never." Everyone there also said they had not seen him. The people were angry that they could not find anything and that they had searched in the wrong direction. They cursed a few words. They were about to turn back when the leader felt something was wrong. He turned around and checked. He saw a young man hiding behind Hong Tuan's group. He was a boy with purple hair, Hong Tuan's nephew. He looked scared and did not dare to speak. He ordered his men to bring the kid over and search him. The young man was stunned and pale as if he had just seen a ghost. He thought, "It's over." They quickly dragged him to the leader, who would check him personally. To his surprise, he found a gun on the young man. He recognized it as the gun that Zero had stolen from the squad. He asked, "If Leo didn't come here, why do you have this?" He pointed the gun at the young man. The guards also pointed their guns at Hong Tuan's group. He demanded that they reveal Zero's whereabouts or he would send them all to hell. The villagers were scared and surrendered. Suddenly, Kylo remembered something. He immediately betrayed his teammates and tried to save himself. He ran up and shouted at Ho Hong Tuan, blaming him for hiding Zero. He said, How can you say you don't know? Tell them quickly, don't kill us all. You are a scheming old man who eats porridge and breaks the bowl. The leader switched his gun to Hong Tuan and pressed him. Hong Tuan frowned and closed his eyes, thinking what to do. He did not want to harm Zero, but if he did not speak, he and everyone else would die. After a while, he made his decision. He pointed forward and signaled that Zero had gone that way. The leader sneered, "You should have been honest sooner, you idiot. Do you think I will spare your lives?" He almost fell for their trick. Next would be the price for lying to him. A gunshot rang out, followed by a flock of crows flying around as if they had found prey. It seemed that someone had to leave early. Meanwhile, Leo was sitting on a rock under a tree, resting after walking for a while. He looked worried and his left eye twitches constantly. According to the old saying, this was a bad sign. Zero opened his backpack and checked his belongings again. He found that someone had tampered with his backpack. It was full of equipment taken from the corpses. If the people found out, it would bring disaster to them. He counted again, 11 machine guns, 300 bullets, no problem. But wait, one of the 10 pistols was missing. It must have been Huang's nephew who stole it. Zero was afraid and turned back to the place where they had been staying earlier, but it was deserted now except for blood and bodies everywhere. Leo turned around and saw a horrible scene. There were still tire marks on the ground. It seemed that they had not left long ago, only corpses lay scattered around. Zero couldn't believe his eyes and sweated profusely. He had arrived late with a stunned look. Zero clenched his fists and swore to deal with those people to avenge this grudge. Leo was about to turn around when suddenly a hand grabbed his leg and stopped him from going further. He said in a voice, don't go. Oh my God, the ghost can talk." Leo looked and was scared out of his wits. It turned out that the ghost was Kylo, the guy who ate cold porridge. He held on to Leo and said that it was a trap set by Hong Tuan's organization. He said that they were killed by those people because they didn't reveal Leo's whereabouts. He cried and begged Leo to take revenge. Leo felt a pain in his heart and fell into silence, trying not to cry. Then another voice said shakily, "Big brother, don't believe him. He is Ho Sie's nephew and he is still alive." Holding a bloody wound, he looked up and exposed the betrayal of that traitor. He tried to get up and said, "Your uncle even wanted to protect Zero when he died." Zero looked over coldly with an expressionless face. That was Ho Sie's corpse, who didn't tell them where Leo went even when he had a gun pointed at him. He sacrificed his life to protect Leo. Leo saw that Ho Sie was now cold and dead and felt sad. He walked over to the dead body and saw that Hong Tuan's hand pointed in the opposite direction of where he had gone. Leo took off his outer shirt and covered it over Ho Sie as a way of remembering and thanking Hong Tuan's kindness. Kylo saw that things were not good and scaredly backed into a corner saying, No, it's not like that. Brothers, listen to me explain." Leo didn't listen much and took out a gun to finish him off. Leo remembered Ho Sie's kindness, that even when he died he didn't betray him like a friend in need, but a good person like him was sold out by a scoundrel like you. Why don't you go down to the Yellow Spring and repent with Ho Sie? Leo said coldly and shot him quickly to get rid of the unfaithful Kylo. After sending the traitor down to the Golden Stream, there was not much time left. Leo was in pain but had to grit his teeth and pass by the corpses of his brothers who had sacrificed themselves. Instead, he had arrived at their base and was planning a counterattack. Leo carefully entered inside. In his head, he was sure of the next move of Team 1. They would follow the direction that Ho Sie searched for nothing, and 8 out of 10 would return by the old road. He just needed to ambush them on that road. Suddenly something interesting came up that caught Leo's attention and made him stop thinking for a moment to look at it. It turned out that the surprise was not too surprising after all. It was a mission announcement as usual from the system sent to the host: activate an E-level mission, Revenge mission requirements as follows. Eliminate the entire squad, and also don't forget to reward when Leo completes the mission. As usual, he will get more experience. This time he can get more than 1500 experience. After completing sending all the information from the system to Leo's super brain, he felt a little happy that even the system was supporting him killing people, so why should Leo spare them? Without hesitating for another second, Leo pulled out all the weapons he had on him with 4 guns of different sizes. Next came the assembly stage of each part of the gun. A gun could not be used if it did not have all the important parts from the scope to the magazine. Just then, the system sent another notification. The information seemed very important because it explained everything to Leo about the improved sniper rifle. Having such a good weapon in this life and death battle would surely avenge the wrongful death of Ho Hong Tuan. He carried the hatred and resentment that could not be washed away to the sky. Leo stepped out of the tent with his equipment ready and the improved sniper rifle in his hand. He felt confused and angry. The sky was also turning dark. However, the number 1 did not care about the time. They were driving their huge tanks in a row along a small road. At the edge of the forest above the road, Leo had already set up an ambush right above the squad of number 1. Number 1 was sitting in the back of the tank and did not know anything about the situation outside, even the fact that Leo was ambushing them from above. He said arrogantly, "They are not here. They must be in the opposite direction. Let's see how long they can run." As soon as he locked on his target, Leo quickly fired a shot at the wheel of the squad, making it lose control. Number 1 felt a big shake in the tank and opened the door to shout, "What's going on?" The driver in front was scared and answered, "It's like a tire burst." Indeed, number 1 could guess the cause of the shake. How could a tire burst under pressure? It must have been hit by a bullet. Feeling that something was wrong, number 1 quickly made a strategy to save the situation at this critical moment. He turned the tank turret to face the direction and approached the target quickly. However, number 1's emergency strategy coincidentally matched Leo's intention. He was hiding behind a tree and listening to the situation. Leo was happy that number 1's strategy seemed to save the situation, but he had already predicted it all. As soon as they turned around and drove a few meters, both tanks suddenly flipped over due to a big explosion from below. Both tanks were overturned and the people inside were seriously injured. The explosion did not cause too much damage, but it also caused heavy losses for them in terms of both people and materials. A few soldiers were lucky enough to survive and were still trying to get out of the overturned tank. The ground was stained with blood from those who had died. They had just escaped from one death trap and did not even have time to breathe. They immediately faced Leo's rain of bullets. Was this also their karma for their cruel actions against innocent people who had fallen? This was the price they had to pay for their heinous crimes. A bullet was aimed directly at number 1 to send him to heaven, but he was lucky enough to dodge it at the right time thanks to his agility. Number 1 fell to the ground with anger at being attacked by a stranger. He shouted, "Who are you? Come out here." He had just spoken for a few seconds when he had to be silent in front of the person standing in front of him. Number 1 quickly calmed down and looked more carefully at the person in front of him. When his brain recalled who this person was, he was shocked and said, "You are Zero." Number 1 lost his composure when he remembered the person who was considered a waste of the laboratory back then. But here and now, he could single-handedly destroy his elite army with a sniper rifle. This was unbelievable. Leo did not show any excessive expression. He simply smiled lightly on one side of his lips and answered the number 1's doubt. The person who was considered to be completely opposite to himself said, "Yes, there was someone who said the same thing as you before." He thought that for those arrogant people who regarded themselves as number 1, gentle words were not enough. They needed to add some threats to make them afraid and not dare to show up again. Suddenly, at the most critical moment, there were always some talents who liked to disrupt. This time, the disruptor was the walkie-talkie next to number 1. The face of a man who was connected to the walkie-talkie interrupted the conversation between Leo and number 1. He said, "I am the leader of the Manhwa organization. If you agree to return to the organization and continue to judge, I can give you a chance to keep your old memories and give you a higher position. You will no longer be an experimental subject." Leo basically did not need to think and could quickly ask them a few questions that would reveal whether they were telling the truth or just using sweet words to lure him. However, this leader did not answer smoothly but confidently replied, "The organization is the will of God and it is effective for us. It is a matter of heaven and earth. If you refuse, then this world is big but there is no place for you to stay." He paused for a moment. Leo did not answer anything but just smiled lightly on his lips before the leader's iron answer. The thinking time was over. Leo showed a serious face and said loudly to them, "We will destroy you." As soon as he finished speaking, he did not wait for them to react. Leo quickly pulled the trigger and shot right in the middle of number 1's stomach. He did not have time to leave any words of regret and had to follow death to hell. As soon as he killed number 1, Leo had completed his revenge mission. The system worked quickly and soon sent a congratulatory message along with the reward as promised. Leo, when he dealt with number 1, was indirectly challenging the Manhwa organization. His strength was very small compared to Manhwa if he had to compare. So the inevitable thing he could do now was to rely on a great power that could compete with Manhwa. The train carrying everyone was moving and carrying some chickens. Except for Manhwa, only 6 countries had advanced knowledge. Tick-tick, for the advancement mission, he could only join one of the 6 countries. He started the battle with the Manhwa organization. The Manhwa organization's goodwill was reduced by 1,000 and their hatred was 1,000. He escaped from them. The system reminded him that he had activated an A-level mission and reminded him of the mainline mission reward based on the degree of destruction to the Manhwa organization. The current progress was 0%. Why is that? The requirement was to reach 20% destruction before completing the mission. It seemed that he could not complete this mission alone. Do you agree to accept this mission? This mission was really suitable for him. The Tinlong Empire in West City was wanted by Manhwa. Tinlong must have also received intelligence. Of the 10 people who wanted to cross the border, 8 or 9 could not pass. Destroying this was not difficult for him. In his previous life, those players who were wanted could not pass through the border. They just had to find an NPC in charge of illegal immigration and pay some money to enter the city smoothly. He stepped up to Hack Lao Ca and asked him to help him enter the city using these things as fees. What's going on? Come on, go slowly. Tinlong was one of the 6 countries in Hilamstar. In the last battle, Manhwa reached an agreement with their enemy country and launched several terrorist attacks in Tinlong's territory at a critical moment. Tinlong almost lost its position among the 6 countries. Therefore, Tinlong had the deepest hatred for Manhwa. Entering the Long Spirit Realm was absolutely the best choice. This place was still like in my memory. I crossed the square and went east for 2 kilometers. At the end of the road, there was a repair shop for items. It was a hidden plot that I read in my previous life, but no one knew about it now. I had to hurry there first. In my previous life, this opportunity did not belong to me. This time, I could not miss it. Very good, the person I was looking for was right here. If you have the guts, try this move of mine. Come here on your horse. The black and white chess game was so intense. They must be experts. Wait a minute, this is a trap. I almost fell for it. Can I ask you what you want to repair? Why is it a girl? I didn't notice any girls here before, and she is very cute. Can I ask if you are recruiting disciples here? Recruiting disciples? Yes, yes, yes. Hurry up and come in and sit down. Be careful not to catch a cold. Is this a local dialect? This thing has been broken for a long time. You just need to fix it and you can keep it. Wait a minute, why did you come here as a disciple? Could he know my identity? Impossible, calm down first and probe a little bit. I just want to find a job. Grandpa, don't bother her. She came here obviously to find work. It was hard to get someone to come here. Grandpa, don't scare her away. The chess piece was placed down and everyone was at the chessboard. I am the owner of the shop. If you want to work here, you need to pass my test. When is the test day? Please tell me what kind of test it is. You have some spirit in you. Listen carefully. Within 3 hours, make him a set of artificial limbs. If he likes it, you can stay. Why did you drag me into this? I remember you now. Grandpa, what do you want to do? It takes hours just to draw the structure. How can you make it in 3 hours? Louis Chen, don't interfere. If you want to work here, you need to have some skills. If you can't do it, get out early. Full of worries. Fine, I accept it. Are you crazy? How can you do it? In the workshop, this is what you asked us to sketch together. The structure will save a lot of time. No need to sketch. I already have the complete structure ready. It's only been 2 minutes and you have it ready? Keep bluffing then. 2 minutes and you have the complete structure ready? Even an expert like me can't do it, let alone a kid like you. Then just wait and see. In the workspace, I want to see what this kid can do. This is the artificial limb prototype and there's not even a spare part left over. Could this kid have prepared in advance? The boy, you won't be able to do it. Your grandfather really made it difficult for him. The final assembly steps are all done. What can he really make in 2 or 3 minutes? Come on, try it a little bit. How do you like it, huh? This thing is really flexible, like a real arm. Moreover, there is no feeling of friction on the skin at all. This thing is very good, I am very satisfied. If you like it, just keep it. I remember this debt of gratitude. This is not made with your materials, right? If you want to talk about gratitude, it should be the gratitude of the old man. You borrowed flowers to offer Buddha. Did you ask for my opinion? Then I'll ask you. Can I stay here? If you want to stay, just stay. I'll see how long you can stay. Very good, I have a place to stay now. The drawings of this old man Lu will sooner or later fall into my hands. I'll go ahead. Lu brother, see you when you're free. Don't come here anymore. According to my teammates here, I can quickly increase the mechanical attributes. Finally, I can rest assured. Welcome back. You have a phone call. It's me. What's up? The intelligence department of the Chi branch reported that the wanted fugitive Zero has entered West City. Zero, if he goes to West City alone, it means he wants to seek shelter from the Long Nation Headquarters Strategic Defense Department 13. But he himself is wanted by Manhwa for 10 million. Now there are 2 possibilities. First, he has important intelligence. Second, his strength is very strong and his danger level is hard to estimate. The meaning above is to approach him gently and do both sides of the calculation. Apply the protection procedure and don't let Manhwa's spies in West City detect his existence. The monitoring team blocks all information related to Zero. Don't let any information from the intelligence network leak out. Yes, sir. District 7, Scrap Station Pro, tell me who you are and what do you want from me? Gray Area Target District 7 Lime U. Who I am is not important. I believe you will want to cooperate with me. When will you take your gun? The profit from the trade of guns and ammunition is very rich. I can help you reduce the cost and you only need to pay a little processing fee. You can make guns yourself. How do you want to cooperate? Put it down and wait a minute. I'll send you a list of materials and components that you need to prepare. I'll take care of the production and assembly. Every morning I'll come and work for 2 hours. The fee for each pistol is 1,500. Moreover, I want to take away the scrap machines that I like. All the documents are mine. I can only give you 1,000. He walked away. Wait a minute, I agree with your price. Then you should prepare the machines, equipment and documents. Tomorrow I'll come again. Now I'll go get some scrap machines. There's no chance to do quests or fight monsters right now. Making mechanical devices requires money, and relying on the monthly salary is not enough. Doing this deal will solve the money problem. With the intelligence ability of Department 13, it's easy to find out about the cooperation between me and Limu. Then they will see my mechanical engineering ability, and sooner or later they will come looking for me. That afternoon, where did you go? You came back so late. Oh, I went to the scrap area to find some stuff. The scrap area in District A? The security there is not very good. Don't go there too often in the future. I know, hurry up and wash your hands and come down for dinner. He was washing his hands. The breakthrough mission for level 20 requires completing 5 basic knowledge categories. I still lack basic weapon science and basic document encyclopedia knowledge. The old man looted all kinds of machines and knowledge bases. We have to find a way to get them. Luda, can I borrow your books on machine knowledge and take a look? Dream on, I will never let you see those books. Don't be so petty, think of it as helping to train the workers. You are even thicker-faced than I imagined, but I still don't want to let you see them. Grandpa is just teasing you. Those things are not something that can't be taken out, take them and have a look. How can I have a granddaughter who is so indifferent to the outside world like you? Thank you for agreeing to spend a potential point to learn the basics of weapon science. Do you also agree to spend a potential point to learn the basics of general literature? Is your choice correct? To deal with the powerful, relying on cheats is just a shortcut. The real way is still to rely on your own strength. And to look at the 13 districts with different eyes, you also need strength. Time waits for no one, you have to prepare quickly and close it when you find the target. It's so hot today and I haven't had any inspiration yet. It's really boring. What are you doing there, making a robot for fun? You are really hardworking, no wonder you are so powerful. Boss, do you do repairs here? As soon as he finished speaking, a customer came to the door. Yes, what do you need to fix? My car won't start, it's parked outside on the street. This is simple, the engine compartment is a bit dirty, it's better to let that little guy over there fix it. The footsteps were steady and powerful, he must have trained before, he must be a detective from the 13th district. Do I look like someone who is afraid of dirt? You are discriminating against gender, it's better to let me do it. You go and rest for a while. It's this car, kid, you must not be very old either. I'm already 30 years old, how should I address you as a younger brother? Before asking someone else's name, you should show some sincerity first. His face was full of worry. It's hard to say, my name is Fong Quan. That's a good name, but you misunderstood me. I just wanted to ask for a cigarette. He didn't answer. You can call me Leo. Leo, you don't look like someone from West City. Where are you from? Fixed it already, the pressure pipe was broken. That'll be $60. Okay, that's not bad. Where did you learn your skills? Self-taught genius. That's amazing, where are you from? A remote village in the countryside. Are you trying to get me to give you a discount? I've never seen such a stingy wallet before, I thought it would take you half an hour to get it out. The car started to leave and the phone started to vibrate. The first step was to observe the target, who was a mechanical engineer. There was no way to assess the danger level for now, only knowing that the target called himself Leo. The target's personality was extremely fierce and unusual. You walk leisurely and have a good inspiration lately. Just like that, opening another branch is not a dream anymore. But I don't know why these days several customers have been asking me about you. I have good skills and handsome looks, it's normal to be welcomed by customers. But they are all men. Don't worry, I won't discriminate against you. It's not what you think, really. Nowadays little girls don't know what they think. The last component of Razor was finally made. Now only assembly was left. He was adjusting his head. You successfully created a Razor-type information collector and gained 5,000 experience points. Basic attribute value: armor 800, defense force 18, power level 58, maximum speed 23 km per hour, height 1.18 m, weight 143 pot. Not bad at all, just call it Razor version 01 then. The new mission this time was to escape from being hunted down. West City security was strict and there was also someone who came to hunt me down. Could it be that the 13th District wanted to test my combat strength? Do you accept the mission or not? If so, come here. I want to ask for a day off in the afternoon to go out for a trip. Okay, if you have any difficulties, I can help you think of a way. There is nothing to worry about. That kid is worth 100 million, but he looks like an ordinary person. The Thap Phong squad is following the target towards the scrap station. Fighting outside is too noisy and easy to hurt innocent people. This place is more suitable. I came to your area to find some documents. It's time for lunch. Do you want to eat together? Okay, his eyes are full of thoughts. I spent a lot of money to inquire about your background, but I didn't expect that you were just a newcomer to Taedu who hasn't been here for long. Have you considered the possibility of intelligence errors? Dig out all the gun-making techniques immediately. I hope you cooperate as much as possible to avoid some pain. How much power do you think you have by eating my flesh? You are just a wandering fake. So your intelligence on me is a bit too little. You can try to enter the dark web and find the latest bounty. You talk too much. I changed my mind and won't let you die completely. There is no room for negotiation. There is someone with a gun behind him. His arm has turned into a robotic arm with magnetic energy. The attack power hits those who are resisting with guns. What the hell is this? People outside, kill him. So Big Brother is not alone, huh? Why do we need to call all of us here? That's right, what are they doing inside? Don't they know that a big explosion happened? They are so slow, the mercenary organization Thap Phong Squad. This is Tin Long Capital, don't make too much noise, quick fight, quick win. He ran very fast, damn it, there are too many accomplices here. Team A, firepower suppresses movement. Understood. Team B, attack from behind, understood. Target detected, it's over. Inside the camp, he was still hiding behind the bullets, the gun was loaded and ready to attack. Climbing up quickly and escaping from the enemy's bullets, the bullets continued to be fired. Where did these mercenaries come from? They seem to be heading towards that kid. He was thinking of a way to get rid of them. Leo took out a controller from his pocket. Fortunately, I had prepared a robot in advance, it had been transformed and appeared. Human, robot, fire, and defeat it. The bullets were fired continuously and hit the robot's body, remaining ammunition 27%, system warning power damage requires inspection and repair, basically can't last long, have to lead them here. Effective. Keep going. The robot attracted the attention of the mercenaries. You guys quickly take advantage of this and catch that kid, yes boss. The fish has bitten the hook, started the self-destruct process, and collapsed down. Wait a minute, this robot is a bit inappropriate. The robot's head showed the words goodbye. The robot exploded. In the city center, 10 machines were detonated. That kid is crazy, he met a demon. Lower your profile here, this is Bureau 13th. This will definitely make the headlines tomorrow, hurry up and clean up, don't move here. Bureau 13th is here? Is what that kid said earlier true? Quickly get the computer here, zero bounty 100 million. The person declares man now organization man now rebel Bureau 13th Tin Long intelligence. This time it's over. The arm was twisted a little, and the other side couldn't move. The mission required to annihilate the mercenaries and couldn't let the 13th Bureau take it away. Who allowed you to fire a warning shot? Drop your weapons and raise your hands to surrender. Leo raised his hands to surrender. The mission to chase and kill was completed and gained 10,000 experience points. The hidden condition of killing the chaser was completed and gained a skill upgrade. Is there a reward or not? Now is not the time to get the reward. The 13th Bureau's Star Dragon interrogation room. I am an intelligence agent of the Star Dragon Strategic Defense Satellite. We are not meeting for the first time. Do you remember me? Remember the man who values money very deeply? Don't joke anymore. Explain the 1 million reward money of yours. Why does the Bud organization want to deal with you? Do you have any intelligence? Tell us everything quickly. You have a lot of authority. If you want to cooperate, you can also show some sincerity. Call someone with some power to talk to me. Who are they? Not qualified enough. As you wish, I will negotiate with you. I am the intelligence minister of the 13th Bureau. Do I have this qualification? You are a member of the Bud organization who has been forced. What position did you hold? A logistics staff who researched weapons and machines. A research logistics staff. Why did Bud issue a bounty of 1 million for a logistics staff? Don't hide it from us. We have ways to make you talk. Record the information on June 4th, 688 star calendar. The signal origin point is Star C. The target is Fortress number 8 of Dark Star. The content is specially encrypted. He was surprised by that. Both of them had questions and thoughts. He reached for the mic and said, "Are you sure about what you said? If I don't see it with my own eyes, I will go to Illusion Star." It seems that it was successful in scaring people. Who doesn't know that? According to the game settings, Star C's star power is still a secret in intelligence. Only one high-level Khadora has contact with Star C's star power. Dark Star is a force that broke away from Khadora. If Bud continues to deal with Dark Star, they will be unlucky. What are you afraid of? Just make a record of information that is mixed with true and false. You can get the attention of Star Dragon in the shortest time. Now we can negotiate cooperation, right? As for what Bud will do, we don't care. These are 3 secret bases of Bud located in different situations. You only know these 3? Of course not. Wait for you to verify that my intelligence is not wrong. Then we'll talk about something else. Do you have any conditions? I just want to cooperate to deal with Bud. I will report your situation to my superiors. Please stay here for a while and don't make me wait too long. I just ask for a day off. I think we can trust Leo and cooperate with him at first. No way. What if Leo gives us fake information? The probability is very low. He is a fugitive criminal of Bud who can only keep us alive, so we don't need to doubt his intention. I suggest secretly arresting him and forcing him to reveal all the intelligence. The 13th Bureau doesn't need to negotiate terms with anyone. Are you crazy? Leo has such an intention and we can't push away the power that belongs to us. You are compromising and weak. You are stupid and reckless. Just cooperate and control him. Recruit him into the Bureau, why not? Simple, Mr. Director. If the director is so stubborn, arrange him into the logistics department. He is a mechanic and also has enough equipment. The logistics department is forbidden to go out and it is convenient to monitor him. Doubt without using him, use without doubting him. Leo, if he has combat ability equal to his words, let him secretly join the action team and participate in dealing with Bud. That way we can judge his real purpose. He laughed out loud. This thing has 4 layers of security. The person who made this thing is crazy, right? Can you do it? Can you break it? Technically, there is nothing outstanding. It's just that the security is not bad. The creator seems like a madman who treats garbage as treasure. What is there to break? Are the things you researched out of date? The organ guns and bows have bombs with rubber stickiness. They can't aim accurately. Or the fake breasts that separate men and women. They block the kilometer detector. The 2 agents who wore them were stabbed by my poison needle. They are still in the hospital. I have sent Leo to the secret action team. He is really worthy of your attention. Is that so? His value is not only intelligence. I have a feeling that he will be our important pawn when we face Bud. Inside the city, the breeze blows sadly. How funny, they actually set up a base in our territory of Tinlong Nation. The tank team, follow the order and aim at the base. Let them know our power. Roger that. Damn it, how did Tinlong know the location of the base? Manhwa Organization Number 45 Secret Base. We could have taken a few days off to heal our wounds, but they made us do an urgent mission. They don't treat us agents as humans. Tinlong Special Forces team infiltrated. The system is locked, we are discovered. The base system starts encryption. All attention to the control room, hacker attack. The teams move quickly to the location. Lamb hack, hurry up. I'm trying, I need at least 3 minutes. The enemy will be here in 1 minute at most. This time before we set off, they didn't give us 10 stars of equipment. Let's try this thing and see if it really won't explode. You idiots in the research department, don't you know that there is no other way? If the data is destroyed, our previous efforts will be wasted. We can only hope for this little power source. Wow, she walks fast, she is resisting that power. Is it that strong? Tada, I copied all the news, cover me. Give it to us, you go quickly. Clack, clack, he kept typing on the keyboard, the system completed encryption and started the self-destruction process. Done, done, all backed up. An explosion erupted from inside the city. Manhwa base leader of base number 45 destroyed. Who did it? How did Tinlong get the intelligence? Could it be Zero? How could he, an experimental subject, get access to such intelligence? Retreat. Yes. Identity verification completed, secret letter sent secretly. Investigate secretly who among the high-ranking people knew the location of the base and found suspicious people, report to me directly. Manhwa internal should be cleaned up a bit. Yes, leader. Not bad at all. This time destroying the base got a lot of intelligence, very pleased above, to return the power source equipment to headquarters as requested. How is it? Good to use? Thanks to it we were able to retreat smoothly. Can I know who researched it? I can't tell you that. Will there be more power source equipment in the future? That depends on the decision above. Leo disappeared for 3 days, where did he go? Be optimistic a bit, maybe he's just dead already. Grandpa, you ask someone to help him a bit as a favor to your granddaughter. You think I'm your grandpa when you stole my books, didn't you think I was your grandpa? The wine grandpa hid under the floor. I took grandpa and sold it to look at you talking nonsense. How can your grandpa be such a miser, not to mention finding someone? Why do you always rely on others? Ding ling ling, what did that kid do wrong that you guys took him away? He didn't do anything wrong, we just asked him to cooperate with us. As long as you don't commit a crime, run fast and let him go. Otherwise, my niece will smash my precious wine. That is against my rules. I'm in a dilemma. Don't talk nonsense. The rules are set by you. You owe me something from last time and haven't paid it back yet. I don't care about you. Hurry up and let Leo go. Fine, I know. The car parked in front of the house. Leo walked home. Why did you come back so late? Do you know how worried I was? You are an outsider who came here alone. I thought something had happened to you. I almost called the police. What did you do? I just went for a walk. Can you find a more believable excuse? I think it's very believable. Yesterday I saw on TV that there was a gunfight in the scrap metal area. I thought you were in trouble. So she was worried about this. I should have called to let her know earlier. I thought you were dead and came back disappointed. Grandpa. I'll buy you a phone so you don't lose contact anymore, okay? No need, I already have a phone. This is an encrypted phone from the 13th Bureau. You joined the 13th Bureau? I'm a key suspect that the 13th Bureau monitored and contacted me. I have to carry it with me 24/7. Broken, the 13th Bureau wants to monitor you and lets you know. You can't escape if you join the 13th Bureau. Move quickly for me. Are you still staying here because you like my niece? Grandpa, you misunderstood. Grandpa sighed. I can't control the feelings of the young people. Xiao Qian is not young anymore. Kid, work hard so that I can hug my grandchildren soon. Both of them were embarrassed. Grandpa's niece was joking just now. He misunderstood. Both of them had eyes full of unspeakable things. You're right, this old man really wants to hug his grandchildren too much. It's scary. There was a hint from the system that the intelligence provided to the 13th Bureau was effective. Mission A-level seat of death progress 1.6%. Intelligence provision may be considered by the system as indirect sabotage at best is to participate directly in sabotage actions. Bud must strengthen defense bet on the updated map equipment then. Good stuff has it temporarily enough to use it successfully synthesized. Congratulations to you high-level researcher then. Low-level weapons will not work anymore in the future. There was a sound of parking outside the door of the 13th Bureau car. What are you doing here? Intelligence base has confirmed no errors and we believe your intention to cooperate with us. The top decided to accept you as a member of the 13th Bureau. This is just what you want. The organization decided to let you join a secret action team. You are assigned to a small action team. You have started a new faction reputation system. The Strategic Satellite Defense Bureau long added 300 points of goodwill with you, the 13th of the Strategic Satellite Defense Bureau long. So now you can openly and directly sabotage Bud's organization. If not ready to go with me to report to the Bureau then, I just admire his talent, not to the point of admiration. Grandpa really missed him. What if he really confessed to me then? What do you want to say, boss? Ah, you are a good person. What is this little sister thinking? Your employee is me here too. Excellent. The country wants me to go as a civil servant. I also have no way things in the shop I will come back to deal with when free. Not to mess up your business. Pay attention to safety then. These words of assurance are what he said voluntarily. If not keep his word I will deduct his salary. Phew, it seems that the misunderstanding has been resolved. I know then. The logistics department of the headquarters asked who is La Huen. Everyone said, oh, I am La Huen. May I ask who you are? I am Na Lam, and I heard that you are the ace of the logistics department. You are not the inventor of that mechanical arm, are you? What is the problem? I told you that I don't like that stupid thing and I want to reserve it for myself. La Huen sweated and coughed awkwardly. That thing is not my invention. Why didn't you say it earlier? You wasted my time. The person next to me was laughing quietly. What are you laughing at? 80% of the newcomers will be assigned to the logistics department. Then you will see how I deal with him. We are the secret action team of Tin Long Thap Tam CUC, and you are the logistics member approved by the director to join our squad. I am Leo, a mechanic. Hello, I am Lam Ju, a hacker in Bellum's sniper team. Why are you wearing a mask? Do you not trust us? My identity is confidential, a mechanic with a confidential identity, a lightweight mechanical arm that you made. How do you know that? I just need your help to make a mechanical arm for me and I will protect you. I have to charge for that. Petty. I still don't know your name. I am Na Lam, in charge of close combat. There are only 4 of us in the team. Where is the captain? He is a combination of offense and defense and is recovering from an injury. Even the captain can't avoid getting hurt. It seems that the work of the Secret Action Department is very dangerous. The captain was poisoned by food and hospitalized. There was a bell ringing, and the newcomer had a mission as soon as he joined, to capture the Black Spider in Taedu. The Black Spider seems to be a notorious bounty hunter. The last capture operation of the external department failed and he even blew up 2 streets. The reward experience is too low, forget it. Is there anything better? I didn't expect him to stay in Taedu. When do we leave? No hurry, the intelligence department has confirmed his location. It's better to act at night. We have arrived in Taedu. This is your first mission. You should adapt to the logistics work first. You are our eyes and ears, collecting and processing intelligence based on you. Leave it to me. That's very easy, but I want to fight monsters. Ahead is the building that the intelligence sent us. The small building in front is where the Black Spider hides. He is on the 3rd floor. He may be very alert, so let's not make any noise. We don't need to be careful anymore, the Black Spider has found us. How do you know? He is standing on the roof and shooting down at us. He really found us. A group of people with guns are rushing over. Is there something wrong with intelligence? How does he have helpers? The small team of Tin Long Thap Tam CUC Secret Action Department was unexpectedly surrounded by the Black Spider. They quickly joined forces to fight back against the black-clad masked men. The Black Spider stood on top of a building and smiled wickedly. You dogs of Thap Tam CUC, do you think I came without any preparation? He also threatened that if they showed their teeth and claws to him, he would cut off their teeth and claws himself. Then he waved his hand for his subordinates to go up and shoot them all dead. At this time, the small team of Thap Tam CUC was fighting hard to deal with the black-clad people. Suddenly Na Lam shouted and went down with her sword, leaving the others to deal with them while she went alone to face that guy. After leaving them behind, she jumped up high and kicked the wall, quickly flying over the walls to where the Black Spider was standing. Na Lam quickly swung her sword and prepared to strike him hard, but he was not afraid at all. He calmly stood there and smiled evilly at her. Then he jumped up and bent his body to avoid her sword strike, making her quite surprised. Next, the two started to argue with each other. Before attacking the opponent, the Black Spider-Man said arrogantly, "I have a word of praise for your courage, so I will let you die a little bit more comfortably." Then he finished his sentence, "Goodbye, little girl." He continuously shot at Na Lam, but with her flexible body and extraordinary close combat ability, she quickly dodged all the bullets that he fired. The Black Spider-Man looked at her movements and was stunned. "I can't believe the speed is so fast. This is not easy to deal with." Taking advantage of his loss of vigilance, she immediately rushed to him. She noticed that this Black Spider-Man was not good at close combat, so she seized the opportunity and pressed her sword to his neck. "Goodbye, Uncle." She pressed the switch on the sword to make it longer. She slashed his neck with one stroke, making him fall to the ground in helplessness. He didn't expect her sword to be so powerful. But he suddenly laughed wickedly and confidently, thinking that she thought she could kill him like that. He challenged Na Lam that she would not be able to kill him. But as soon as he finished speaking, the cut on his neck suddenly spurted blood and he fell to the ground and lost color. Na Lam finished her task and called Leo. She said she had completed the mission and praised his sword for being not bad at all. Leo suddenly told her not to relax her guard, that Black Spider-Man was still alive. But Na Lam thought he was dead already, looking at him lying motionless in a very ugly state. Despite that, Leo still reminded her that he was a mutant with a very difficult ability to deal with. Then he told them to remove the protective masks of the black-clothed corpses quickly. She followed his instructions and went down to join her two teammates and told them. When she got down there, Na Lam still insisted that he was being suspicious because he wanted to take credit for himself. Then one of them stepped up and took off the mask of one of them and was shocked to find out that they had no faces, transparent bodies, and were not human. Leo immediately ordered them to shoot their brains out. They quickly grabbed their guns and followed his order, while removing all their masks and shooting them all. Lam Hack was quite scared when she saw that they all had no faces, but she still obediently followed Leo's instructions. Then Leo sent a fly cam to track down the remaining ones who had not been shot. He informed his teammates of the positions of the remaining corpses through the screen control. The corpse at 3 o'clock directs, shoots his head. The fly cam detected another position in the same direction as the clock hand on the right side at 4 o'clock direction, then 5 o'clock direction and behind them at 6 o'clock direction and on the side of Lam Hack too. He quickly dealt with the remaining one until the last one who was still moving. They didn't know how to deal with him, so Leo ordered them not to kill him but just break his limbs. Suddenly he said, "You can't kill me anyway, don't waste your strength." It turned out that the Black Spider-Man had entered his own clone body, but as soon as he finished speaking, they pressed him down and prepared to execute him. He only realized then that they knew his real mutant ability. Leo explained to everyone that this guy was actually a parasite clone of the Black Spider-Man who could separate a faceless copy every once in a while, and then as long as within a certain range, the clone would act according to the command of the original body who could constantly revive in the closest identity. There were 10 corpses here besides him, leaving others around the world that we couldn't eradicate. The other parts of him were his trump cards that he kept to survive. The only way was to imprison him and prevent him from contacting the remaining parts. At this time, he was very surprised that Leo knew everything about him. He angrily asked Leo who he was. Leo didn't care about his question. He had completed the mission anyway. The screen immediately showed the mission completion notification. But Leo sighed when he saw the low reward points for this mission. However, it was still a reward, so he reluctantly confirmed and received 40,000 points. After completing the mission, everyone said goodbye to each other and went home. Leo also returned to Lu Qian's place. She took him to see the office that she prepared for him. It was almost done and could be used soon. Leo thanked her and then secretly rejoiced in his heart. He imagined a mountain of money and laughed hee. Because he had received many orders for folding swords from special forces recently. If it continued like this, he would surely prosper quickly. But at this time, at the Star Dragon 13 Bureau, in the Rear Department, after learning that Leo refused to give out the sword design to the Rear Department for the reason of checking the risks and upgrading the sword, the head of the Development Department of the Star Dragon 13 Bureau was very angry. He ordered a special agent to buy a sword from Leo and then deduce from the real object to sketch and produce weapons. At this time, at the Secret Service Department, a guy came to Na Lam's resting place and asked to buy a sword. But Na Lam refused to sell it to him because she knew that they wanted to take it away to deduce the design and produce it to sell to other special agents for money. Then she left with her teammates, ignoring his pleas. But suddenly, there was a guy who wanted to sell his sword to make some money and offered 30 times the price, which was 30,000 for a sword. As soon as he got the sword in his hand, the head of the research department of the Star Dragon 13 Bureau hurriedly brought the sword to La Huyen for technical research and drawing. Then he promised him that after finishing this matter, he would transfer La Huyen to the research and development department. At that time, Leo received a message from Na Lam in his office that all the special agents had cancelled their orders at the same time and learned that the research department of the Star Dragon 13 Bureau had successfully developed and deduced from his sword, so they had started mass production. Leo was furious when he heard this and looked at the swords he was making. He was angry. If they didn't respect him, he would teach them a lesson. They could only blame themselves for playing dirty with him first. Then Leo went to Zone 9 of the Underground Weapons and Ammunition Company. He wanted to sell all his swords to them for 5,000 each and 100 million for the design. The representative of the weapons company was a bit stunned when he heard his price and wanted to bargain, but Leo refused, so he had to accept and the deal was successful. At this time, in the office of Mr. Chow, the head of the Star Dragon 13 Bureau, a subordinate came in and reported that the Research and Development Department had successfully obtained approval for producing swords yesterday. Now that invention belonged to them, but Mr. Chow told him not to be too happy too soon. He quickly told him not to worry about Leo's reaction because he was clinging to their 13 Bureau anyway. They could just rob him and he couldn't do anything. Hearing that he had such a thought, Mr. Chow took out a document from his desk and gave it to him. He said that he was involved in using his authority to speculate on weapons and ammunition and angrily said that he really disappointed him. Then he was temporarily suspended from his position because of Leo's actions when Leo sold it to another company. They quickly registered their patent and sued them, so Mr. Chow suspended him. At this time, Leo wore a mask and went to the headquarters according to the invitation to reconcile. When he arrived at the conference room, Leo was quite surprised when the person who wanted to meet him was a man who looked very powerful. Seeing his surprised attitude, the man said, "What are you so surprised about?" He slowly took off his mask and thought to himself, "Does this old man think I don't know his identity?" Thinking of this, he smiled inwardly and thought, "Watch my acting skills." Leo pretended to ask him, "Who are you?" But the man told him not to be tense and said he only needed to know that he could intervene in the affairs of the 13th Bureau. Then he put out a cigarette and calmly asked him how he wanted to solve the weapon issue. Leo only said he wanted to be compensated. The man then said, "You sold the design drawings to another party and made a lot of money. I have also temporarily suspended that guy. But is compensation not enough?" Hearing this, Leo slammed his hand on the table and couldn't help but shout, "If you hadn't stolen my drawings, I could have made this money normally. This is what I deserve. Do you call this compensation? If you wanted to buy from me, maybe I would sell it to the Bureau, but did you negotiate with me?" Leo's words made the man choke and couldn't say anything. He had to sit still and let him make the conditions. Leo also added that he didn't want this to happen again. Then he rested his chin and thought for a while, then smiled wickedly and said he wanted to see the knowledge progression of the mechanical system. At this time, the whole room was silent for a while after hearing his words. While waiting for an answer from them, Leo pondered, "This is a good opportunity. The knowledge progression of the 6 countries in Bud are not the same. Only loyal allies have the qualification to see the knowledge progression as a secret. Long only allows employees with level 5 authority or above to see it. Moreover, as long as I can see it, I can increase my own authority level, which is very beneficial for the future." Suddenly, the man just agreed with him, but the boss didn't agree with him. "Wait a minute, King. The progression can only be seen by level 5 employees. This is against the rules." He frowned at him and said, "Isn't he just wanting to see it? Then let him see it for an hour." That's how they decided. Soon they arrived at the secret room of the underground headquarters of the 13th Bureau. At this time, the subordinate of the boss was sent to accompany the man and Leo to the place where they kept the knowledge of the progression of the mechanical system. He introduced them to the server and he also called backstage to unlock the reading authority of the knowledge. Then he sternly warned him not to play tricks because they would monitor the situation through the system server and after an hour the authority would automatically turn it off. Leo quickly used his potential points and only needed a minute to read everything. He started walking towards the server under their supervision. As soon as he did, Leo also found the knowledge progression of the armed branch. Although Long only had one knowledge progression of the mechanical system, it was enough for him to read. Leo started reading mode and didn't stop. When he finished reading, the system showed a message saying that he had completed the condition of changing his job to a mechanical novice and asked him to choose one of three paths: mechanical mage, mechanical engineer or martial artist. Leo didn't think much and chose mechanical engineering because that was also his profession in his previous life, so it would be easier for him to do anything in the future. The system immediately changed his job successfully and he felt his body full of energy at this time. Outside, under the sun, he saw him smiling smugly and wondered what he was laughing at. But at this time, all the energy had been successfully transformed in Leo's body. He escaped from the realm of ordinary people and upgraded to a level E ability user. After completing the absorption of knowledge and advancing to the next stage, Leo returned home to get used to his new power and energy. The biggest change it brought was that his strength received an attribute from his mechanical engineering major. Strength is the foundation of super ability users. He practiced a way to cultivate his strength faster and grow faster. Although he had learned how to refine his strength once, unfortunately this refinement consumed his experience points and physical strength. He still had to pay attention to making machines in the future. He could only practice at most twice a day. Just then, the phone next to him vibrated and displayed a message from Lina Lam, informing him that the captain had been discharged from the hospital and summoned everyone urgently. The scene changed to Tin Long Fong's secret department. The melon sellers were talking about Leo saying that he would not sell equipment to the guy who sold the war knife to the research department. He was still smugly laughing and thinking that Leo was just a mechanic. He thought he could just pay a little more money and someone would sell it to him. While he was bragging, the others turned their faces away quickly. He only realized then that Leo was passing by. But he didn't care about him and went straight to the meeting of Team 13. As soon as he entered the door, he noticed a tall man with a serious face staring at him. Then he asked him if he was Leo. Lam Hak stood next to Leo and nodded silently to confirm with the captain, then pulled his sleeve and introduced him. "This is our captain. On principle, the captain has to agree before accepting new people." Then he whispered in Leo's ear, "When you applied to join, during the captain's injury, it was an approval process, so the captain was a bit unhappy with you, but don't worry, although the captain is quite strict, he is a good person." The captain then picked up an orange on the table and coughed to interrupt Lam Hak's conversation. He introduced himself as the captain of the team named Truong Vi. Leo heard the name and thought in his head that this was really a random name that wasn't good at all. Truong Vi looked straight at Leo and said, "With you, our team has 5 members. As stipulated by the roster, your position will be in logistics, but I'll tell you straight up that your resume has nothing on it, so I don't trust your ability." He put an orange in his mouth and said, "Even if there's any document about you from above, I will keep my attitude. If I see that you are not good enough, no matter who approves it, I will be ready to kick you out of the team immediately." Because he thought that he came here by using connections and back doors, anyway, the higher-ups didn't care about their safety. Leo heard this and didn't know how to respond coolly. Suddenly at this time, Lam Hak's computer's screen rang with a notification of new news. It turned out that there was a new mission. The higher-ups ordered them to leave immediately for rescue. The team of Matan Duong had carried out a raid on Bud Base but was ambushed. Then they all prepared to board the plane. Truong Vi turned around and told Lam Hak, "You stay behind and replace the logistics position, while Leo is new, so stay out of the way and learn something." Then he sternly reminded Leo, "This is a rare opportunity for you to quickly learn well so that you can be useful to the team later." Leo immediately agreed confidently with him, to the astonishment of Lam Hak, who was standing next to him. Suddenly he patted Na Lam's shoulder and told her to wait. He gave her a large box of bullets with 12 rounds. This was his new invention. Leo also reminded her to use them sparingly. "Let's go then." When everyone left, Leo activated the support mission. The mission content was to rescue a covert team that was being hunted down. Your responsibility is to support your teammates and complete this mission. You are required to successfully rescue the team codenamed Tan Duong. You will receive 8,000 points. Lam Hak next to him patted Leo's shoulder and comforted him. "The squad leader didn't mean to aim at you, don't take it to heart." Leo also nodded and let it go. At this time, a convoy of tanks and armored vehicles followed each other and roared on the desert, chasing a car. It was the car of Tan Duong. He was very worried, as if sitting on a frying pan in front of the enemy's pursuit. He was extremely angry and shouted why the reinforcements hadn't arrived yet. An hour later, Team Number 13 flew a combat helicopter to the rescue location. They quickly parachuted with advanced weapons on their bodies. As soon as they arrived safely, Truong Vai used the radio to report to the rear that they had arrived at the location. They also reported that the rescue team was 30 kilometers away from the mountain where they landed. The enemy chase had a total of 15 off-road armored vehicles and a Black Hawk helicopter. The temporary assembly point was at a mountain 3 kilometers away from everyone. Your task is to attack and support your teammates. Lam Hak also sent them the location of the attack point. Leo stood next to him and watched on the computer screen and couldn't believe that Truong Vai's weapon was actually a war armor made of iron and steel, an original prototype of one of the basic power armors of Hai Tin Lam version 1.0. It was called the Peak of the Peaks in armor. In no time, the convoy ran roaring with engine noise on the rocky road to where the rescue team was ambushing on the hillside. More than 10 cars ran fast like wind, making dust fly everywhere from behind, chasing after Tan Duong's car. At this time, Truong Vai raised his hand to signal fire. The special forces hiding behind the hillside immediately popped up and fired a rain of bullets incessantly at the armored car behind Tan Duong. The sound of metal clashing between bullets and car shells rang non-stop. From afar, Truong Vai hid behind a big rock and continuously sniped at the enemy's armored tank. Just like that, 2 armored cars in front were quickly blown up. Taking advantage of this momentum, Tan Duong turned to another corner, causing some cars that were chasing at high speed to lose momentum and roll over to one side of the road. Old Truong in the car was very happy when Team Number 13 arrived. Tan Duong called Truong Vai, "Old Truong, there are too many enemies, let's run away quickly." Just then, there was a helicopter flying over their heads. Truong Vai quickly noticed it and looked up anxiously, telling everyone to get out of the way quickly. But their entire position had been surrounded by red energy streams that gradually narrowed their attack range. Fortunately, Truong Vai was agile and easily dodged these streams of air. But the other special forces were not fast enough and were hit by the red airstream, making them paralyzed and lying motionless on the ground. Truong Vai then realized that the enemy had a psychic attacker. At this time, a figure appeared jumping from the helicopter down. It was a girl with long curly red hair fluttering in the wind. She wore a red and black outfit full of murderous aura and rushed towards them like lightning. It turned out to be Hila. Leo, who was with Lam Hak, recognized her. In Lam Hak's astonishment, he did not hesitate to take off his headphones. He ordered them to get away. She was Bud's combat execution officer. He told everyone to move away immediately. Truong Vai did not listen. He was about to scold him for changing the command position without authorization. Then he was startled to find out that Na Lam and Lan Boy Dac did not hesitate to trust Leo's judgment and follow his command quickly. They tried to get away. Hila jumped to them with 2 fireballs in her hands. Na Lam stayed behind to stop her. Zichta looked at Na Lam and frowned. She kicked Na Lam continuously when she had a chance to counterattack. Na Lam jumped on her head, turned around, raised her leg and kicked her martial arts quickly at Hila. But she avoided it to one side. The two stared at each other. At this moment, Hila suddenly narrowed her eyes. She prepared her fighting stance with both hands in front of her and punched Na Lam hard in the face, making her spit blood. Na Lam was seriously injured after being hit. She felt that if she continued like this, it would not be good. The two of them were too far apart and level. She could not take advantage of the approach. She would lose sooner or later. But she had no other way but to continue fighting with Hila. At this time, Hila's hand appeared as a red energy source. A move that made Na Lam fall to the ground and be seriously injured. She was about to give up when she used the intercom to call Leo for help. He also told her to look for an opportunity to use the mechanical arm. The enemy would reveal a weakness in a moment. He told Na Lam to seize the opportunity and attack secretly. Upon receiving the order, she immediately put her hand into her pocket and then pulled out the arm. Na Lam's arm was quickly attached to the mechanical arm. Meanwhile, Lanboy Dac used a sniper rifle from afar to target Hila. At the same time, Na Lam used the mechanical arm to prepare to punch her in the face, making her surprised. She did not have time to react and was hit hard. Realizing that the machine on her hand could only be made by Leo, she immediately asked Na Lam what her relationship was with number 0. But Na Lam did not understand what she was saying. Just then, Lanboy Dac shot one of Hila's arms by surprise. Mok Fu had created a shield to protect her but still was hit by the bullet's impact and fell to the ground, moving back a distance and holding her injured arm. Leo saw that the situation was getting worse and hurriedly shouted down for Truong Vi to take Na Lam away and not be greedy for battle. He quickly accepted the order and ran over to support Na Lam up and then carried her away. At this time, Matan Duong had been waiting in the car and shouted loudly for them to hurry up and get in the car. They hurriedly got into the car. The armored vehicle of the chasing army was not as fast as them now, and the psychics were also dealing with injuries and could not catch up. This was a good opportunity to quickly get away from here. As long as they escaped on the plane, they could safely retreat. Now Truong Vi finally breathed a sigh of relief, but suddenly Leo reminded him through the intercom to be careful of another helicopter in the sky that was preparing to attack them. Sure enough, as he said, the sound of the helicopter got closer and closer to their car. Then it dropped a bomb that caused a big shock for the car. Truong Vi in the car anxiously told Lanboy Dac to shoot it down, but he also shook his head helplessly as he had run out of armor-piercing bullets and normal bullets could not penetrate its armor because its shell was very thick. But what about the helicopter of the pursuit team that was about to attack again? Did they really have to die here? Leo suddenly spoke up and interrupted them. Had they forgotten the thing he had given them earlier? They quickly opened the box and tried his bullets. While Lan was shooting at the plane, the enemy also shot at their wheels. At the same time, he also succeeded in shooting down the helicopter of the pursuit team. Matan Duong breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, the helicopter was scared away. Leo on this side also felt less worried and told them to retreat quickly. The system screen then showed, "Rescue completed. You received 8,000 points, increased 100 goodwill with the Satellite Defense Strategy Bureau long." But Leo didn't know that his position had been discovered by Hila and reported to the leader of the team who had successfully completed the rescue mission and returned to the base Tin Long. In the room, Lam Hak was amazed by Leo's talent. Captain Truong Vi walked over and coughed to interrupt the conversation of the two. He immediately opened his mouth. "I'm sorry, I apologize for doubting your ability before. If it weren't for the new weapon and your command, we would have been dead," he said as he reached out his hand to shake hands with Han Tu. I welcome you to join the team as the captain. Han Tu smiled faintly and said, it's a small matter, no need to apologize. Anyway, I'm a tolerant and generous person. He then reached out his hand and grabbed Truong Vai's hand. The two shook hands and reconciled for a while, but the atmosphere was strangely emotional. Suddenly, there was a voice from outside the door of Matan Duong. Seeing him, Truong Vai asked him, why are you running around to my place instead of staying in your group? He smiled awkwardly and scratched his head and said, I came to ask if you sell the bullets you used earlier. Truong Vai immediately put his arm around Han Tu's shoulder and whispered to him, what do you think? He implied that he should make a good deal from this Matan Duong guy. Then Han Tu quoted 50 per bullet. He didn't complain about the high price, but was eager to buy 200 bullets, including 20 small caliber pistols, 150 submachine guns, and 30 sniper rifles. Han Tu immediately agreed and told him that he could get the goods in one day. Suddenly, from behind, Lina Lam came over and slapped Han Tu's back, acting like a big sister, and said cheerfully, from now on, I'll be in charge of soliciting business for you. You have to give me a discount when I buy equipment. He reluctantly agreed, but could only reduce it by 20% for her, no more. After all, the bullets he made could sell for a lot of money, and making bullets also gave him more experience points. Not bad. In a short time, he didn't have to worry about money anymore. On the other hand, in the research room, La Huyen held the new bullet invented by Han Tu. Despite the minister's prohibition of anyone researching high-burning bullets, this shrimp guy didn't give up and wanted to secretly study the high-burning bullet. He thought that they were just afraid of Han Tu, so he wanted to break it down and create a drawing to offer to the higher-ups secretly in a military factory far away from Taedu. Han Tu would have to admit defeat then. He then successfully removed the bullet head, and next was to study the composition of the bullet head. La Huyen was very eager and hoped that if he succeeded, the highest level would definitely look at him differently. Just as he was about to open the bullet, he realized that the burning agent of the bullet was gas, and once opened, it would consume a lot of energy, but it was too late. His hand was faster than his brain and opened it. Immediately there was a loud bang and a huge explosion that shook the outside. At this time, the people around ran over and shouted, "Fire! Fire!" Fire from inside the room came out. Chao Tan received the news and hurriedly ran in. "What did you do?" He was shocked to see that La Huyen had now become a bald head with burnt hair and black face from a white guy who exploded into a black guy due to failed bullet research. Chao Tan then noticed that the bullet shell was in the pile of smoke and dust after the explosion just now and angrily scolded his subordinate, "How dare your people analyze high-burning bullets?" The subordinate scratched his head and said confusedly, "I didn't know he did it himself." After being discovered, La Huyen was transferred back to the logistics department. And not only him who was miserable, but there was another guy who was also miserable who sold out Han Tu's weapons to the research department before. Now he had been ignored by Han Tu and no longer sold bullets or any weapons at all. He came to room 13 to buy bullets. He saw that Lina Lam stood up and repeated Han Tu's words. Han Tu said, "You are on his blacklist, so he won't trade with you in any way. Moreover, he won't accept any apology from you." He had no choice but to buy bullets from others, but no matter how high he paid, no one wanted to sell his face. His teammate beside him reminded him not to waste his effort. No one would want to sell to him and offend Han Tu. Maybe he would have something better for them in the future. He sighed after hearing that and regretted that it was too late. It was karma. At that time, at the logistics department, everyone whispered behind La Huyen's back when they saw him return to his section. He regretted and sighed with disappointment as he walked. He felt that he was still too young and sad. In another scene, when it got dark at the Choinan base, the leader of Choinan learned that the special equipment of Tin Long was similar to the power arm of Number 0. Previously, their secret base was also destroyed by Tin Long. He suspected that number 0 leaked the secret to Tin Long, but he thought again that it was not consistent with number 0's authority. He could not get such confidential information. He recalled number 0 Han Tu's arrogant words before leaving, "I will destroy you all." His body immediately became tense and clenched his hand and trembled. Then he ordered his subordinates to recruit some strangers to infiltrate Tin Long and investigate number 0's whereabouts. If they found any clues, they would call Nosha to deal with him. On Han Tu's side, he was chatting with a man outside his house. He came here to inform him that the detectives who ambushed Choi Nan in West City had acted. They were looking for his traces everywhere. FIFA knew he was working for Tin Long. Han Tu received the news and was still very calm because he had predicted this before. At this time, he opened the car and said, "Don't worry, we have arranged a large force to monitor and protect you 24/7. When he got in the car, Han Tu looked down and told him to prepare 2 wild guns for him from the Bureau's warehouse. Then he slowly watched the car drive away and thought to himself, the thing that should come finally came. I'm also ready. The next morning, Han Tu got up early and sat in his office working hard on researching and creating devices. The system screen popped up with the words, "Congratulations, you have successfully researched platinum alloy." Han Tu held it in his hand and smiled happily. Not bad, it seems that spending money to buy mineral materials is not a waste as he thought. Next, he attached the platinum piece he had just created to the sword blade to upgrade it. It could not only fight directly but also be used as a shield for protection. At this time, he also received 2 wild guns that he requested last night. At the base, Lina Lam learned that he had upgraded his sword blade and asked to try it out. She just tried a few strokes and was very satisfied with this sword blade. She felt that each cut of it was more powerful than before several times. On this side, Han Tu also tried shooting with a wild gun. It was not a wild gun for nothing, its power was very okay. He only shot a few shots and made the target shoot shattered. Lina Lam returned the sword blade to Han Tu after trying it out, but she didn't want to give it back at all. Then she asked him to make one for her next time. Han Tu was embarrassed and had to agree with her, but he didn't say when the next time would be. He returned home after training from the base with the weapons he had now. He thought that it was probably enough to deal with the assassins of the young sprouts. So he was a little relieved. The system showed him the report of today's strength training. He reached a perfection degree of 90% once. His strength also increased by 4. Suddenly, Han Xiao was surprised to see the screen ting-ting show up for the second time. It reported that he had reached a new level of upgrade. His strength, agility, endurance, and intelligence also increased. He got a bonus point for level 4. His current combat power was 160. Han Xiao looked at his hand with interest. He felt a source of strength wrapped around it. He couldn't help but be happy. According to his current progress, by the time the public beta test started, his strength would be far beyond the first batch of players. Then suddenly a reminder sounded from the system board. He also found out that the trial run had started for 12 days. But according to his understanding, this trial run was aimed at a few players. Moreover, it happened a week before the public beta test. And 1 day in reality was equivalent to 6 days in the game. According to the game time, it was probably more than 40 days before the public beta test. But at this time, the screen showed a countdown to the public beta test. There were still 134 days left. At this point, Han Zhao's face became tense. Could it be that when the players didn't appear, the real time and the game time had nothing to do with each other? His brain suddenly flashed a number. He remembered that every time he updated in reality, it only took 2 to 3 days. But the time that the world of Star C went through was measured in years. According to his logical reasoning, Han Xiao was sure that if he thought so, he would have more time to develop than other players every time he updated. Suddenly he turned around and looked at the wristwatch on his hand. He rubbed his chin like an old man and wondered if he should worry about his lifespan. Then the screen showed up again and announced that he had unlocked the NPC template function and the player forum function. But it didn't introduce what NPC was, which made Han Xiao confused. But his hand was curious and pressed to try to register and see what happened. Then the screen sounded a warning that it was checking the neural link of the game cabin. It didn't detect any players and couldn't register. At this time, Han Xiao realized that the official forum only allowed players who sat in the game cabin to register their status. It seemed that he couldn't register for a forum account. He stretched his shoulders and yawned loudly. He reminded himself that if players appeared, he had to find an opportunity to contact them. But at this time, in a high-rise building, there was a man whose face was not clear behind a desktop computer. He chose to start normally as Nuo Jian Quang Dao and created a character of carbon human race based on his preference distribution on Star C planet. At that time, the player randomly chose the birthplace of newbie and completely selected randomly. He only saw a ray of light from Star C planet shining down on Earth and determined the starting point coordinates in Daijia Mountain residential area. The coordinates were determined to be a forest. The system machine was busy solving the problem. Please wait. A newbie player with the ID No Keen Quang Dao appeared here. After that, many other newbie players came to gather at the residential area Dai Jiak Sun Ten Long. The boy looked around in awe and said, "This seems to be the newbie village. What should I do now?" Suddenly, there was a sound of footsteps and a hoarse voice that rang out to the crowd outside. "You guys, if you want to eat well, let me find you some work. Our residential area does not welcome idle people." An old man appeared from nowhere and calmly said that to them. Quang Dao used his ability to guess the name by looking at the appearance and stared at him. His system also showed him the information of the old man. Mysterious old man, inquiry, trade, dialogue, cancel. With your current level, you can get the following information: village head of Dai Jiak Sun residential area Sumli. Level is still a question mark, attributes are not much better. You can consider him as the village head of the newbie village. Danger level is medium. Sunli continued, the crops here need people to harvest. The tailor shop and the weapon shop in the south also need skilled workers. In front of the gate of the residential area, a batch of goods just arrived and needs people to carry them. In short, as long as you work hard, you won't starve. Quang Dao listened and first thought for a while. He thought to himself, the resources obtained from the newbie village are limited. The trial time is precious. I have to go out quickly. I have to quickly explore some places and create an advantage. He decided to act and went to look around for something valuable. Very soon after that, the boy found an axe. He brought it to a nearby shop to exchange it for money. Then he brought the money back to exchange for a map from the village head. Sunli asked him, the price of the map is 3,000 Hila MTE. Confirm purchase? Confirm, the red-haired boy answered decisively. He did not hesitate and opened the map to see. He thought, this is a map of Tinlong City. The nearest city is Taedu. He quickly made a bold decision, let's go to Taedu and see. At the border station of Taedu Tinlong, when Han Tu was resting at a water shop, the scene in front of him suddenly made him pause for a few beats. It turned out that his eyes were glued to Quang Dao. The information about him quickly appeared, No Keen Quang Dao level 2. Quang Dao seemed to have a sixth sense and also felt something. He frowned and thought, after entering the city, I feel like someone is looking at me. He looked around and saw Han Tu. It seemed like it was him. The information about Han Tu appeared for him with only 4 words, mysterious boy. With your current level, you can only get the following information, Han Tu level unknown, attributes unknown, danger level. Critical danger. Quang Dao was shocked when he knew this information. He thought, critical danger? Is he so scary? He became like a mouse when he saw Han Qiu passing by him. He was so worried that he did not dare to face him. He thought, isn't it supposed to be very safe in the city? Hurry up and run away, I don't want to die. But fate had made him meet Han Qiu, so how could he do otherwise? I thought he would ignore me as if I didn't exist. Han Qiu shouted at him to stop. Hey, you there! He threatened to spray him with glue and freeze him. Han Qiu calmly added, it's rude to probe other people's strength when you just met them. Kwang Dao turned around and looked at him. His legs trembled and he stuttered, what do you want? Han Qiu spoke in a voice that couldn't be lower. I need your help. Are you free? Kwang Dao was shocked by this sudden request from him. He immediately thought, is he a high-level NPC? How come the opportunity came so fast? Did I activate a hidden quest? Am I the chosen one? How awesome! Han Qiu saw him leisurely say, I need a loaf of bread. Can you find it? At that moment, a screen also appeared. He happily exclaimed, wow, a quest is here. A high-level NPC quest is so easy. The reward is also low. The quest requirement is to give Han Qiu a loaf of bread. The reward is 1 high lamb coin. Kwang Dao read this and his happy expression changed. Wait a minute. But he still tried to comfort himself that if he was a high-level NPC, he must have a high-level quest. This was probably a prerequisite quest, a test from him. If he pleased him, he could activate the next one. It must be like that. He also thought smugly, I've played games for many years. I'm very familiar with this trope. So he didn't hesitate to give all the bread he had to Han Qiu. This is the bread I have on me. I'll give it all to you. As soon as he finished, another notification from the system appeared. A new quest, kick the butt of 10 passers-by. Reward, 1 high lamb coin. Do you accept it? Of course he accepted this quest. The evidence was that he got punched by a passerby who cursed him as a lunatic. Then, one after another, bizarre quests were given to him. Take off the pants of a patrolling policeman, quest completed, reward, 1 high lamb coin. The boy just did as he was told and silently complained, what kind of weird quests are these? Why is this high-level NPC so cruel? He was lost in his thoughts when another new notification appeared that surprised him. Open personal shop, Han Qiu. War knife, 30,000 high lamb coins, high heat bullet, 100 high lamb coins, Huangfeng Type 73 pistol, 15,280 high lamb coins, Jia Sun submachine gun, 35,000 high lamb coins, Lopet rifle, 38,000 high lamb coins. These heavy weapons made him sweat after reading them. They were all divine weapons, but they were too expensive. 1 bullet for 100 yuan? Why not just rob someone? It didn't stop there, there were also other special weapons such as basic ESP counterattack, 100 high lamb coins, basic weapon science, 500 times 100 high lamb coins, advanced strength training method, 1003 by 3, basic weapon science. This was the professional knowledge of the weapon world. This person must be a rare mentor. This was his chance. Kwang Dao frowned and thought, but if I have it, I can learn from him and develop faster than any other player. He was struggling mentally. The system seemed to understand his desire and gave him a choice. Do you want to switch to the weapon world and advance? He confirmed this was his choice because he thought he would regret it for life if he missed this opportunity. As soon as he made his choice, his body also underwent some changes. Kwang Dao quickly spoke up when he saw Han Qiu had walked a distance. Wait a minute. Can I ask where I can find you in the future? Han Qiu did not answer, but gave him a piece of paper. Inside it was written what he wanted, repair shop number 46, block 5. Kwang Dao watched Han Qiu's back disappear and smiled smugly, thinking to himself, as long as I protect the secret of this high-level NPC during the trial period, I will definitely surpass the other players. On the other side, Han Tu also had some thoughts about him. Mad Sword Kwang Dao, interesting. I remember he was a great master of the martial arts system, one of the top 24 flowers. He was lured by me to switch to the mechanical system, and he will definitely have no chance to show off in the first few seasons. But as long as he persists, he will thank me later. Han Tu stopped and looked at the crowd ahead. Their information also appeared accordingly. Jiang Wu, Moonlight Eternal, Fried Rice Sparkling, Level 2 Workers, Level 5. The Level 5 worker showed surprise and said to Fried Rice Sparkling, "Great, you guys really helped us?" Fried Rice Sparkling smiled and replied, "Really?" Han Tu looked at them like that and thought to himself, "Oh, it seems that many players have completed the newbie village scenario." Then his eyes paused on the old man level 2 who was sitting listlessly by the roadside. Based on what he had witnessed so far, he could make a judgment that most players had no stance and only cared about the rewards of the tasks. As long as they were given benefits, they would work for him. A bold idea suddenly popped up in Han Tu's head. Maybe he could command them to become an important force for him to face Sprout. Thinking of doing it, Han Tu immediately approached them. "I need your help." The two men heard the sound and looked up. It seems like a high-level NPC. Fried Rice Sparkling Level 2 happily asked his friend, "What's up?" "We are happy to help." Before hiring them, he had to consider his budget first. The rewards for the tasks he could give were limited. The highest reward was 11,600 EXP level total 23 plus 7,200, E-grade plus 3,000, Sprout faction hatred plus 100, 13 district neutral plus 400. The legendary degree was unlimited, 58,000 per day, refreshed every 24 hours. He could not issue tasks with rewards exceeding his limit. A warning was quickly given to Han Tu by the system: destroy Sprout organization. Task not established. Task difficulty is A. Your limit is not enough to meet the requirements. Lowest reward of task confirmed or cancelled. The limit could not also be provided for himself. Han Tu sighed and thought to himself, "It seems that I still have to find a way to increase my limit before I can use the players better." Seeing him silent like that, the others became impatient and urged him, "Brother, hurry up and say something, we are very busy." Unable to do that thing, Han Tu had to choose another task for them. They saw the system appear and exclaimed, "Wow, a task." But a second later they showed disdain and said, "What kind of weird task is that? Find bread? Reward 1 yen? High-level NPC my ass, boring as hell, not even worth transporting." Han Tu was scolded by them and became angry. He immediately responded by re-evaluating with the system. "Do you want to adjust your goodwill with Fried Rice Sparkling?" Of course he chose yes. After finishing his work, he casually turned around and left. Fried Rice Sparkling behind him still kept complaining, "No way. If you don't accept the task then lower your goodwill. This NPC is so petty." Lu Xia, who was at Han Zhao's base, looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't help teasing Han Xiao. "Why does he follow you every day? Is he pursuing you? I think he has a good intention. Why don't you follow him?" He was trying to match up No Sword Mad Blade, a level 3 player, with Han Xiao. Han Xiao said in a low voice to him, "Go to the street and act as a grass for 10 minutes. No Sword Mad Blade happily agreed. Han Xiao was troubled and explained to Lu Xia for the 5th or 6th time that it was not what he thought. On the other side, No Sword Mad Blade looked at the system with his eyes wide open and exclaimed. The opportunity of the God race was really rich and didn't care about Han Xiao, who was standing far away watching this little guy browsing the player forum. His next sentence surprised Han Xiao. "If I can find the 0 number, it would be great." As if sensing something, Han Xiao quickly opened the player forum and saw a shocking news headline hitting his eyes. The woman of Tui Lam Highstar gave birth to a star-level magic python. She took a picture of the police station floating in the air asking for help. She robbed a team of players who challenged the desert bandits in Hongsa area, Long Lak Star Field. The latest news, the first B-level mission was randomly turned into a monster named Tak Lu. How do I change my race? Online. Wait for me, I want to switch with you, I want to be a monster named Tak Lu. How do I increase my points in the first stage of martial arts? Where do I learn skills? I got into the 30th place of the monster named Tak Lu. Your XP is so strange. This series of information made him more confused as he read. Han Xiao frowned and thought, I remember the first B-level mission appeared after the public beta test. How could there be someone who activated this level of mission during the testing period? Another notification quickly appeared on the screen. The latest news, B-level mission, investigate the 0 number, any valuable information will be rewarded. Contact method 6666666666666, answer and receive a red envelope of 1,000. God race opportunity. Han Xiao finally realized the problem. It seemed that his existence had disrupted the progress of the game. Although the current players did not pose any threat to him, he could not ignore them. Lu Xia poked his head out and saw him going somewhere and asked curiously, It's almost time for dinner, where are you going? Han Xiao calmly replied, To the workshop. She heard it and could only sigh, You are always busy every day. Work addiction is really scary. On Han Zhao's side, he focused on checking to update the news as quickly as possible. A sudden notification made him surprised. You have activated an urgent assassination mission, hinting that an assassin is about to arrive at the battlefield, requiring survival, reward unknown. Han Xiao read it and frowned. This assassin actually managed to evade the surveillance of Thap Tam Cuc. It's lucky that old man Lu is not at home. It seems that before dealing with the players joining Choi Nan, he has to deal with Choi Nan's assassin first. Han Xiao walked alone to an alley and thought, Lu Xia is still in the restaurant and can't be implicated by her. The port is empty and suitable for fighting. At that moment, a figure ran past him from nowhere. Han Tu quickly sensed something with his keen perception. He turned around and saw a black bird flying towards him. He wondered what it was. While Han Tu was still doubtful about it, the bird circled around him as if trying to tie him up. Only then did he realize the seriousness of the problem. The enemy was a psychic. The rope created by the mysterious bird tightened around Han Tu's neck, making him uncomfortable. Han Tu worried that he could not escape. The next scene that appeared before his eyes made him more terrified. It was as if a wave of illusion was rolling in waves and approaching him. Han Tu was like a helpless chick trapped on land. He could only struggle in vain. At this point, he also recognized the magic that the opponent used. It was an illusion. This level of realism meant that the opponent's power level was probably not much different from Hila's. More importantly, the more he struggled, the tighter it got. In this life and death moment, he also thought of the worst-case scenario that could happen. Damn it, did he have to die here today? But if the protagonist died, it would be like the end of the movie. A miracle happened to Han Tu. The system showed a message that said, You have fallen into an illusion. Your intelligence is judged to be 50 points. Through this judgment, you are immune to this illusion. Like a fish in water, Han Tu broke free from the opponent's spell in a split second. But before he could celebrate, a gun pointed at his head from somewhere. The blonde-haired Westerner looked at him with a kind smile and said, Goodbye, number 0. Unfortunately, when he pulled the trigger, Han Tu on the opposite side had already used his movement skill to move back and successfully avoided his attack. This made him angry and cursed inwardly. How could he dodge a bullet at such a close distance? And when he was still annoyed, Han Tu on the other side had quickly taken out his gun and fired a shot to increase their friendship. Super Overload activated. But the opponent was not easy either. he had timely created a shield for himself. It was a defensive shield with the same power as Hila's. This guy was not simple, Han Tu thought to himself. Han Tu kept shooting at him, forcing him to only defend and curse silently. The intelligence said that number zero's strength was only equal to an elite agent, but why was he so strong? Knowing that he could not keep dodging forever, he decided to retreat and rethink his plan. The intelligence was wrong. In short, withdraw first and redraw the plan.